Welcome to the Horror Hangout, a podcast where film fans watch the best and worst horror movies of all time and talk about them. My name is Ben Errington, and today I'm joined by regular co-host Mr.
Andy Conduit Turner. Hello, Ben. How are you?
Hello. I'm well. I'm well, but even better because we've got a very, very special returning guest. It is Mr. John Crinan. He's a writer, filmmaker, and of course, a right honorable horror dude. Welcome back to the show, John.
Gentlemen, it's wonderful to be here. It feels like it's been a really long time, but I think technically it was March, right? It was Glasgow Fright Fest, but the last time I was on an episode was a long time ago, it feels like.
Yeah. Too long.
Too long.
God damn it.
Thank you for having me, gentlemen.
You're welcome. What was the last episode you were on? Do you remember?
Changeling was
it the Changeling? The Changeling is the one that's popping into my head, but I feel like that was a long time ago.
Yeah, there must have been another one since then. I'll work it out and get you with it. But you've been busy, man. You've been busy. So you've been making a film. You're making a short film. So that takes up a lot of your time. You know, we ain't got time for podcasts. I feel bad that we're taking up your time now, to be honest.
No, it's wonderful. It's wonderful to be here. The film, man, how long have I been? I feel like I was talking about this bloody film, Changeling. No, I wasn't. But I think I was talking about it on the London Fright Fest, which really is scary. It's taken a very long time to get to this stage. It is almost ready. We've had a little screening with the cast and crew. I was giving you guys a little sneak peek of some of the aspects of it. And but it has been one of those things. This is my film school, this little film, and whether we do anything with it, whether it gets seen widely, I don't know. But I've learned so much, and that was always the goal. And it's one of those things like I don't know. I feel like if we were doing it all again, I would have it done in a fraction of the time. But we needed to make all the mistakes. We needed to do all the things, and you know, this isn't my day job. I have a day job. I would love for making films or writing to be my main source of income. It is most definitely not. So it is just something that we're doing on the weekends, and not even every weekend, far from it. But we're inching closer, and it's the lights at the end of the tunnel. I can almost see it, and soon people will be able to see it. It has been announced, like it's out on Instagram. The title is Schlock and Load. There's some screens out there on my website, on social media, of it, some stills from the film. It actually looks like a proper film, which is kind of mad for me, remembering when we shot it back in my garden shed on phones, like we shot it on iPhones. But soon, hopefully, I'll be able to join you guys, and it'll actually be out in the world properly.
We can't wait to watch it properly, for it to be available wherever it eventually becomes available. Probably at least a bonus episode, right, Ben?
Oh yeah, definitely. We'll have to get you on in some capacity to talk about the film at length when it's out. Super excited to obviously check it out, and yeah, we'll be updating our listeners on when it's released, and we'll post on social media and stuff as well. Like I think we've already done. So very, very excited.
I mean, John, you've seen the kind of guerrilla filming we do at these events as well. Whether you are screening at a festival we meet at or not, I am absolutely not above just knocking someone off the red carpet and doing an interview with you again.
We got to do it. Yeah, definitely.
I will pull a fire alarm if I have to.
We've snuck onto a red carpet or two in our time already. So yeah, we'll do it for sure. Definitely.
Yeah, I think we look legit enough. Come on, let us on the red carpet, will you? Let us on there.
If you could.
I've just double checked. It wasn't Changeling, John. It was Ghost Watch, the last episode you
Ghost
joined.
Oh, of course it was.
But that was still that still was bloody ages ago. That was still like late 2022, like for a full line episode. So that is disgusting.
I think it is my bad though, right? Because I think I was lined up to join you for something a month or two ago.
Yeah.
And something happened. I don't remember what it was, but something happened, and I couldn't make it in the end. So it's all my bad. And I'm
one of those
so
unreasonable
grateful.
things, like having to work and do your day job or something along those lines.
I'm just so grateful that you're still both talking to me.
Yeah.
And
We'd thought
you got to do worse than that.
Maybe John Crenna's been turned into a doll. Maybe he's been turned into a little bearded doll sitting on the mantelpiece.
No, he's a child at heart. He'd be fine. They'd let him off.
They let him off. Just trying. What are they doing? They're trying to decide whether you're a child or you're a child in disguise.
Yeah.
Can't tell, but just stand there like in this limbo while they
Yeah, I mean,
decide.
as we'll establish in this film, basically, this film that we're going to be talking about today, Dolls, if you've gone in blind and not read the title from 1987, basically, your best defense in this is to just be a real chill person. Just be nice if you could. So I think if that's a lesson we can all take away from this is to not lose your childlike imagination and to actually be reasonably nice. Don't be horrible punk burglar. Don't be an abusive dad or horrible stepmom. If you could just avoid doing those, you won't get dulled.
You won't get
You
dulled.
won't get
Have
told.
you been dulled? That's a lovely pair of pajamas you got on there. Very silken. Now turn into a doll, will you? I guess before we jump into that, a couple of bits of horror news just to discuss briefly. Don't know how up to speed everybody is with the news of this week, including a trailer for Smile 2. The sinister curse targets a pop star this Halloween. And we've got a trailer. It's out on the 18th of October. It stars Naomi Scott. Yeah, that's her name, isn't it? Yeah. So directed by Parker Finn. Don't know if that person directed the first movie or not. But yeah, Naomi Scott is like a global pop sensation. They seem to be doing this a lot in kind of like genre films. Obviously, with M. Night Shyamalan's Trap as well. They've gone like,
Give us
oh,
someone we can really all relate to, like a millionaire pop star.
like a millionaire pop star. Yeah, like a pop star is kind of like a character in these films, which I guess is kind of interesting. It's an interesting take on it, and maybe they'll be doing something about I don't know, just body image, looks,
Parker
and
Finn did direct the first one.
stuff like that. Parker Finn did direct the first one. Um, yeah, so I haven't actually seen the teaser trailer. Don't know if anyone has. Is anyone interested? I remember being kind of lukewarm on the original Smile.
I
John?
did watch the teaser trailer.
You
John,
did. How many
I did
smiles? How many
not.
smiles are in it?
there's a couple of smiles in it. What you'd expect from a Smile sequel. There's more smiles. There is some people getting a bit like the first one. Some people getting really, really narked about people smiling at them. Okay, fucking, will you stop smiling? Of course, that's whatever. If I ever see someone smiling at me, lose it, absolutely lose it. And there's like a little one where the as relatable character pop star sees a little girl come over doing she's one of the smiles doing a big smile um and she's like, oh, that's a nice shirt, do you want me to sign it? And then she signs a shirt while she's continuing to creepily smile. You see some other little bits that if you've seen the first one alludes to like the creature. You see someone get got and turned into a smile, but from the point of view of like a an observer, that you don't see the big expensive CGI monster. You just
Interesting.
see someone going, "Oh my goodness, no!" and then do a big smile. Um,
Ah, I've been
yeah,
smiled. Did you did
yeah.
you did you see the original, John? Did you see Smile?
Yeah, I did. So I haven't seen the trailer, but it's really because I sort of avoid trailers for films that I know I'm going to see.
Hmm.
And yeah, I'm always surprised that the reaction to the first film was so lukewarm because I loved it. I thought the first one was really solid.
Hmm.
And yeah, I'm excited. I'll be in line to see this one for sure. Um, yeah. So I just dodged it. I saw that it had come out, and I was like, good. There's another
Dodge
Smile
that.
coming.
Give
I'll
that.
see that.
I
Yeah.
feel we've gone in the wrong order there, Ben, because you were lukewarm. John liked it. I hated it because best visual scare for me was directly lifted from Terrified, a film that came out a few years before, but non in a
Yeah.
non-English language film. So thought they might get away with that one. Use a great technique known as copying. And the second point was I guess, absolute spoilers for Smile. If you haven't watched it and you want to watch it before the new one, skip ahead 30 seconds. The whole message behind the ghost and the trauma that it represents, I ultimately felt it was a fairly irresponsible message. I think you can still have a bleak ending, people can still die. But to say, basically, it's inevitable and you will pass this cycle of grief on to someone else, just kill yourself, why don't you? I think it
Bloody
was
hell.
absolutely fumbled from a written perspective at the end, which turned what was still vaguely and still mildly interesting throughout in that last 10 minutes, I was like, jeez. All right. So that's my negativity on Smile
the
Out Boy. And that
marketing.
being said, they're still going to get my money for the second one. So who's really laughing?
Yeah. The marketing for the first one, they seem to be like having a bit more of a push on it, I guess, since the teaser for the second one came out, and it seems like they're almost leading with the kind of creature thing, like
Yeah.
not showing it completely, but kind of like showing that there's that. Um, yeah, I don't know. I just kind of feel like it's a bit, it's a similar concept to It Follows, I guess, isn't it? Like in terms of having to pass something on, and even though it's not a smile, it's just a followy person.
Well,
Uh,
there's the two sides of the coin. I think you can take that kind of metaphor and do it well. It
hmm.
follows, or fuck it into the wall like a mad bastard at the very end. Smile.
You absolute mad bastard. You know what? I don't know if I remember it all that well. I don't know what's happened. It's ended up on the trash heap of my mind somewhere near the bottom. But yeah, with no doubt I'll go and watch Smile 2 because even if I don't quite enjoy it, watching a horror film I don't quite enjoy is still a good way to spend my time. I feel like that
It's
anyway.
like eating a mediocre pizza, isn't it? Like it's still better than any other
Yeah.
food you might have had.
Yeah, definitely. Exactly. Um, okay, so there's that trailer. Go and check it out if you haven't seen it, or avoid it if you have no interest. Also, Jordan Peele's fourth movie will release Halloween 2026. He's posted an image with just a release date and nothing else. So what could it be? I'm guessing it's going to be his directorial another directorial film because I know he's attached to various projects like the People Under the Stairs remake and other things. Into I guess as a producer, maybe as a writer, I'm not sure. Um, but yeah, let's what could we possibly expect from a new Jordan Peele movie? Eh? A big floaty jellyfish cowboy
Well, he's
hat thing coming
done
at you.
space aliens. He's done clones. He's done bad people doing brain swaps. Where is the left to go? Under the sea?
Yeah, possibly Under the Sea, maybe.
Give me an Under the Sea one. Yeah,
Hell
I'd
yeah.
watch that.
Definitely. But yeah, I think it's one of those directors who each of his films is like a big event now, isn't it? So let's definitely be looking forward to that. Um, yeah, produced the People Under the Stairs remake, it says here. Um, I was getting some People Under the Stairs vibes from this film as well, Dolls.
It's
Now I
the dad,
mentioned it.
isn't it?
It's the dad. Is it
The
the same
dad
dad?
has very daddy vibes. I don't think it is the same actor. Let me
Daddy
check.
vibes. This guy's got daddy vibes. Cheers.
That's his name
And
in People Under the Stairs.
And the last piece of news now, I've seen a lot of discourse about this online, and I'm sure both or maybe one of you may feel the same. A remake of Possession with Parker Finn, Smile director and Smile 2 director, and starring Robert Pattinson. How do we feel about this? Pointless?
Yeah, it does feel a little bit. I mean, I don't like to be negative about these things. I'm not really a big remake reboot guy anyway. I'm not one of those people who's really against them because the original is always there. Possession is
Hmm.
on my shelf and it's not going anywhere. It's fine. But I can't get excited about this. It's kind of the same, and I'm sure the news is old, but it's like Mike Flanagan's doing a new Exorcist, and what was that, a couple of
Yeah.
weeks ago? And
Yeah.
I'm the biggest Exorcist fan. I'm a really big Mike Flanagan fan. I think that Midnight Mass is I think it's one of the best TV shows ever. Even with him behind it and with such a big, I just can't get. I cannot get excited about it. It might be one of those things that the possession reboot remake
Hmm.
surprises me, and I see it. But at
Yeah.
this stage, it's like,
I kind of, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off then, John.
no, you're
I,
good, you're good.
I kind of feel like if it was like one of the big horror directors attached to it, I could probably get a bit more excited. Because it's Parker Finn, who made Smile, it kind of makes me, and I wasn't a huge fan of that. It makes me kind of feel like I don't know if it was an Ari Aster is going to remake Possession, Jordan Peele's going to remake Possession, Nia DaCosta's going to remake Possession. I might be a bit more like, interesting. Let's see what happens. Because it's just Parker Finn, I don't know. Part of me is just a bit like, well, I don't know.
I
If
think
we've seen what he can do and it didn't impress me too much, how do I feel about this? I do like Robert Pattinson as especially when he's playing an intense character, which I guess obviously he will. I guess it depends who he's going to be alongside as well, because that opposite
Oh,
role is probably the most important in terms
those
of
are big shoes to fill. Yeah, for sure.
massive
Yeah.
shoes, size 28 or something. I don't know. It's who
When it
knows?
comes to a remake of this kind of film, though, like I think directors can, they can really make a film if you get really good like authorship of those things, a really distinct visual style. But actually, I'm more interested in paying attention as to what the production house and what the publishers are in this one, because let's use a prime prime example, Rob Savage with a film where he has full creative control, like Host. And the result of that, arguably, well, not arguably, factually, a lower budget, a less polished production, I would watch a Rob Savage film like Host 100 times before I watched what a larger budget was able to constrain him into with the Boogeyman. Again, feels the same as Smile on that one as well. I felt like it was so safe and built for a mainstream audience that his directorial flair and the visuals and the tension that he can create as a as part of a team, I know, to make that thing come together, it really fell short for me. And I was almost more disappointed in that because of what I knew that he was capable of. But
Mm.
in those constraints of what something that felt very constrained and mainstream. And I think my concerns are the same when it comes to Possession. It's probably been in a boardroom somewhere put up for a potential remake because for the three of us here and people who listen to a dedicated horror podcast, you're like, of course, Possession, one of the big boys. That's a well known thing. But for your regular folks, don't want to call them shit munchers, but I've done it now. Like they probably haven't heard of it before. So there's probably a corporate synergies at it again, Ben. There is a product to be made here and thinking, oh, this was reasonably popular, so this will get the horror fans
Based on the
in,
title, though, it feels like because
and we can get them out.
you
But
want to get in it, you want to get Russell Crowe in it because he's knocking out Pope's Exorcist, The Exorcism, and now did I see that you've seen The Exorcism, John?
Yeah, I saw it
You
last
saw
screening
it?
last
yeah,
night.
Oh
Yeah.
man. Well,
how
we'll
was
get
it?
to that when we talk about what we've been
Oh, you've
watching.
seen, you've both seen it.
I want to find
Okay.
out more. I haven't seen it. But yeah, Possession. They've gone. Who could we get to start? Did you see The First Omen?
Me, yes. Yep, sorry,
Yeah,
yeah.
because there's a very possession-like scene in that, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. As soon as that happened, and regardless of what we all think of the first Omen, whether it's good, I feel like it didn't quite. I feel like that was what the direction was like, hey, look at Possession, do that, and
Yeah.
I don't think it worked. I don't think it panned out in the first Omen. It felt it's so difficult to bring that energy, and it's such a fine line. It's such a tightrope of like just tipping over from hysteria and real like tension and the kind of emotions that you go through seeing that scene in the original Possession. It can very very easily in the wrong hands tip over into just a bit cringy or a bit like silly.
Mm.
Um, and I liked the first Omen, but I felt like that particular scene really didn't work for me.
Mm.
And anyway, yeah.
I find demons and possession and religious horror kind of the hardest ones to see remade and rebranded and bought into a sort of a franchise and product sort of place, because more so than almost anything else, they don't need to be. Don't know if you know about the Bible, dead old book, all the characters in it, public domain. Anyone can use them. Can write a story about Jesus tomorrow. It's fine. Or all of his enemies, his rogues gallery, as it were. So you could write a film
The Penguin.
about possessions or the church, and the only thing you have to look at from a IP protection or a copyright point of view, really, is what name you're going to use on it. If you have an interesting story to tell, why constrain yourself by bringing along old franchise or expectations of remakes? Like you can do whatever you want and free yourself from those constraints and still hit those horror audiences by by creating something. So I find remakes in that very, very particular space a little bit more cynical, where I feel maybe have to lean into the work a little bit less because you have a name and you have a marketing tool to say, this is a remake of this. Please discuss about it, positive or negative, because your interactions count exactly the same.
News of
Yeah.
Possession remake is met with outrage by horror fans.
Yeah, but it's still getting those headlines though, isn't it? So, I mean, good on him. I like Parker Finn. You produced a visually interesting film in some places. The story was not for me, but I wish them all the success in the world with it. I just wonder whether it's
You
necessary.
sound like you just found out like an ex is getting married and you're just
Yeah.
talking at the wedding.
Well, I hope she's pretty happy.
I wish you all the success in the world. And if it goes to shit, it goes to shit. I wouldn't be there to say I told you so, but
No.
I did tell you so.
I hope it goes well, because you never want to see anyone who's creative, their projects not work. But I question the necessity of this kind of remake.
There we go then. That's horror news. Unless anyone else has got anything, then we could do a little bit of what we've been watching. And what better than to dive straight into Russell Crowe getting an exorcism or something. I don't know what's going on with him. What's going on with him these days? How was it?
I don't know. I think this is a film that was shot like many years ago. I don't really know the story behind this, but I just happened to see some discourse online that was like, I think they shot it. This all could be wrong, right? I didn't expect to be talking about The Exorcism or its production, but I feel like it was shot like 4 years ago or something,
Yeah.
and for whatever reason is only just seeing a release now. I have no
Is it
idea. I
because
don't know.
Russell Crowe looks the same as he did in that film where he was like an angry road rage driver? Can't even remember. Unhinged, I think it's called. He looks
Oh
the same.
man,
He looks the same like build, and I don't know, like
yeah.
in things I've seen him in more recently, he looks a bit different. But like he's a big old bear of a man in like
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
Exorcism.
Yeah, I mean, no, I don't like coming out the gate with negativity, and even I've already been negative about a
Do
couple of
it,
things on
do
this
it,
episode.
do it.
But The Exorcism, really didn't work for me, and I know it's not out yet, and I don't want to paint anyone as like I struggled through this one, and yeah, I can't even really go into exactly why. It, it's it was a secret screening, like it was
Oh yeah,
the
like a screen
Yeah.
unseen or whatever it is.
exactly. It was a scream unseen, and we were thinking about all the potential films that it might be. We thought it might be.
Yeah.
We thought it might be Maxine. We thought it might. We were a bit. We were wishing for it. Like it would have been great if it was Maxine. It would have been great if it was. Uh, why am I having a brain fart?
Long
Like In a
legs.
Violent Nature or
In
Long
a Violent
Legs
Nature, yeah.
Yeah.
or
Films that are out in other countries, but we've been absolutely shafted.
Oh,
Yeah,
In a
yeah.
Violent Nature
yeah.
would have been amazing.
It would have
Oh,
been amazing. And we were sitting down to watch it, and the trailer for like Maxine came on, and it was like, okay, well, it's not going to be Maxine. They're not going to play the trailer. Then A Violent Nature came on. Oh no! And then like A Quiet Place, and then whatever else. All the trailers played that we thought it might
oh.
be, and then it came up, with like the BBFC tile comes up, and it's like The Exorcism, and there was legitimately, it wasn't me, someone in the audience just screamed no when The Exorcism came up, and that got the biggest reaction of the whole film, the whole night. I don't know. I hate being negative because obviously, a lot of people worked on this film, and I know how difficult it is trying to make this bloody short film of myself. How difficult it is. I don't like coming out with being negative, but it just didn't. I didn't enjoy it, and I haven't actually seen The Pope's Exorcist, so this was my one Russell Crowe Exorcist movie that I got to see, and I won't be in a rush to see another one.
Here's my take for you for The Pope's Exorcist, John. Would this film be improved for you if sometimes, but not always, Russell Crowe did a very fun Italian accent and he rode around on a Vespa and had little coffees all the time?
Hell yes. Sorry,
I think
answer it
it
for you.
probably would. Yeah, I think
In
that
that
would
case,
improve
you will
any
enjoy
Russell Crowe
The
performance.
Pope's Exorcist. It's actually very funny. I watched it on a plane, the perfect place to watch anything you're not quite sure of. Watched it on a plane. It's actually real fun, and it's got what's his flavor? Voice of newly announced voice of Galactus
Ralph
and Ralph
Innocent,
Ineson.
Einson.
Yeah,
Not sure how you say
he
his
does a
surname.
big scary demon voice.
Yeah, of course he does. He
Oh.
loves it, doesn't he? So it started filming in November 2019. That's when principal photography started. So post-production did not finish till January 2024 because of COVID delays.
Oh, because
And it was
COVID.
originally called the Georgetown Project, but it was renamed The Exorcism, which is kind of a bit of a weird decision, isn't it?
Someone in the boardroom went, "I need this title to be slightly more generic." What can
It's
I?
so generic, and especially if they were like, "So, any working on any projects? Got any projects coming up?" Russell Crowe's gone. I'm doing something called The Pope's Exorcist, actually, which is handy because I was worried that this film might be a bit similar. But this is called the Georgetown Project. Don't think anyone's going to make any connection. We're actually going to call it The Exorcism.
Some CEO of a studio walked in and went, "Hang on, that fellow we met in the shop he went to, he wasn't even called George. Doesn't make sense. Change the name."
Do you feel like things like this are just to trick some people into thinking it's like a new The
Oh,
Exorcist
it's
film?
Transmorphers all over again.
Because there are people, we already discussed this about Avengers, people turning up for Avengers and thinking it was the 1960s John Steed thing, and then being confused when like the Hulk appeared on screen. It's the
There is
same.
an
Yeah, what?
entire industry based on tricking people's nans.
Yeah, I reckon there is.
Wasn't that the whole Asylum like
Yeah.
marketing thing until they landed on? Yeah, it was Asylum that did Sharknado,
And
wasn't
then
it?
they're
Yeah,
like, we're legitimately
and
rich now.
yeah. But until then, they were just doing
Transmorphers.
typos.
He is legend. That's a band, isn't it? Just loads of stuff like that. Wow. You got to respect it. Uh, anything else that you've seen with Russell Crowe in, or not with Russell Crowe in?
Not
John?
with Russell Crowe in. The Exorcism was sort of a surprise. I saw that. I saw for the first time the Sadness.
Oh yes.
Sadness.
Oh, what was your
Yeah.
take?
Oh wow, that film was great. I can't believe I've slept on that one for so long. Yeah, we just signed up to Shudder again. I've sort of been off Shudder for a while. I had so many streaming services accounts that I needed to prune them. And you would think that maybe Shudder wouldn't be the one I would get rid of, but for whatever reason I did. And jumping back into it, we're now like working our way through the catalog there. So The Sadness was first up. And yeah, I mean, that film is just wonderful, wonderfully bleak, wonderfully violent. It had everything in it that I wanted. I loved it.
I still haven't seen it yet, but I hear very strong things, and I think
Oh,
strong opinions all around. I know that it has maybe been a little bit too bleak for some, but
I can understand why it might be. Yes, yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
mostly I just haven't got around to it yet because obviously it is a non-English language movie, so it needs my full attention when I can concentrate and read subtitles as well, not just a casual watch like some of the other things I've watched this week.
I've
Yeah,
seen it and I did kind of like it, I think. But I didn't love it. I thought it was
Gave you a
very
bit of the
depraved, but
sadness.
I almost felt like depraved for the sake of being depraved, if I remember correctly.
yeah.
Again.
That's a fair take. That's a fair takeaway. I think it is trying to shock, and that's kind of built into the premise, so it gets a pass.
Yeah.
And sometimes like shocking stuff like that is all right. If you're in the mood for it, I think it is one. Not only is it one that you've got to wait until you can dedicate the attention to it, but it is like one of those more risky sort of watches where you can have a real bad time if you're in the wrong mood for that. You've got to kind of steel yourself to it because you're going to see some pretty horrible stuff. But I just really liked it. And the only other film, I'm just looking at my letterbox right now just to remember, the only other film was a kind of quite new film that just hit Netflix, Takeshi Miike film, Lumberjack the Monster.
Oh,
I
I
don't know
saw
if you
that
guys
was
have
coming
seen that
out.
yet.
I didn't realize that was available yet.
It's out. It came. I think it hit Netflix like maybe a week or two ago,
Yeah.
and I just watched that this week. Yeah, I liked it. I won't say much. I think it's worth checking out. I don't think it falls in, the real like greats of the Takeshi Miike filmography, of which there are a few. But it's a solid entry into his absolutely colossal back catalogue of
Oh
films now.
yeah,
I don't know how many he's made at this
film
point,
film a
but
week, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. But I really liked it. I thought it was good, worth
Brilliant.
checking out.
It's definitely going on the list. Andy. Oh, well, I was gonna mention it. Andy, have you seen Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey too?
That's one we've both seen,
You
Ben.
can
Do you
only
want to
say
talk
it with a little
about Winnie
sing
the
song.
Pooh's back again?
Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey too. I don't know. Who wants to go first? I feel like so a lot of the feedback from this film and reviews were like that uh the 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 budget maybe was higher and the production values were higher. I was like, is it? All the way through. I was like, what? It's still got that like little the drawn like tight the sort of like opening title crawl, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
It's all drawn, and we're kind of like brought up to speed with all these sketch drawings, which felt like a really cheap thing in the first film, but now it's still here, and I'm a bit like, what? I feel like the production values haven't changed. I feel like there's some more CGI in the gore, possibly. I feel like take your production, like and the money you're putting into production, and maybe just hire some people who can act. I don't know. Harsh.
That's your take, Ben.
Is
I
that
have
my take?
I
People just
was
saying and doing things that don't exist.
I mean,
I don't
I mean
understand
that's true. That's true of any
who
film, I guess.
who on earth, and I know I keep saying this, who are these films for? What are they trying to achieve? Like, is it supposed to just be edgy? Is it supposed? Again, I feel like it's tricking people. It's trying to trick people, going, Winnie the Pooh, yeah, Disney character. Oh yeah. Imagine a horror film version now. People going, what? That's insane. And got to check it out. And then you just get this drivel. Sorry, Andy. Andy,
Uh,
please take the floor.
you know what? Like I feel like I can redeem my, being Senor Buzz Killington in the previous discussion on Smile. Um, I will
Don't you
give this
dare.
credit for taking a big swing. Um, it is absolutely like it's very silly. It is you know, it is to horror what Mr. Blobby is to comedy. It's just a thing that happened in this country at some point. Yeah, it is very it's very silly. I do think the kills are like the kills remain really over the top. What you say, Ben, is also right that this is a Disney, a cute kids property, that there is still a little bit of let's just make this edgy and a horror because and the some of the backstory, I'm not going to spoil it because it's fairly freshly out, is ludicrous. But I think that has to be how they do this. So I will give credit to the film for being quite ludicrous and actually for some nice little nods to the overall Winnie the Pooh lore. Like I enjoyed the bit where after a murder there's like a little tiny little nod. Like if you like me as a little boy, little audio cassettes listening to you Winnie the Pooh stories. They pay Pooh sticks with some dismembered limbs. They drop them under a bridge and Pooh Bear watches them float under to see which ones come out first. That was pretty sweet. We do get
Wait.
minor content spoilers for Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2. Out of context, though, press skip if you're desperate to see this and not be spoiled on it. The one line Pooh Bear says is a no bother, which is very fun. And I quite like, even though, as you and I were talking before, over messages, Ben, it is diabolical that the Tigger is essentially Freddy Krueger in the way that he gets people and says bitch a lot.
Imagine,
But
imagine if Freddy Krueger was played by a faceless man and just someone in a tiger mask,
with a wobbly tail.
who was about 7 stone. This is another problem I have, right? Get your villains and make them massive, like Kane Hodder or something else terrifying. Winnie the Pooh looks like his belly is full of like newspaper, like he's one of those guys that you throw on the bonfire. And Tigger was like just a little fella, Do you know what I mean? Just I'm almost like,
He's live, Ben. He's live. He's ducking and
oh
diving,
man. And
bouncing.
imagine if you go, do you know Freddy Krueger? Yeah, imagine getting someone to play Freddy Krueger who's terrible, but also let's write some great lines for him. Just like, but put bitch on the end of everything. It'll be really interesting and great. Jesus.
Could we
Yeah,
not do like
another
a
thing.
Steve Buscemi and Con Air with Tigger? Like, because he was like the
Oh
little
yeah,
guy,
yeah. Well,
but
this is the
everyone was
thing.
super scared of
I
him.
completely get that, and obviously, yeah, small, slim guy can be terrifying. I don't know why this popped into my head. Crispin Glover and Charlie's Angels, terrifying. But for some reason, I'm just like, there's about at one point Tigger takes on about 20 people, and I was like, just smash his head in, for God's sake.
that is the one thing I will give this film the most grief for. Stop portraying the myth, the unlike. I am willing to accept that horrible scientist kidnapped a bunch of kids and turned them into animal mutants one day, but I will not accept the ongoing myth that that is what nightclubs and raves are like. No,
Oh, absolutely not.
like
Hell no.
absolutely nonsense that there is a rave. Basically, it's everyone with glow sticks and no one has a top on. No one's got a top on. If you've got some boobs, then it might be interesting for someone to have filmed on a camera.
If
You
you've
can
got
bet they
some
ain't going
boobs,
to be covered
you've
up.
got some boobs. I also hated it how characters who have established no level of badassery at all, literally zero, and in their last gasping, dying breaths, they're going, "Fuck you," and I'm going, "Shut up, will you? Just die quietly, for God's sake." Anyway,
Christopher Robin, the guy is
Christopher,
the guy is
the guy playing Christopher Robin,
spicy as a mint yogurt, becomes like Die Hard by the end.
it's ridiculous. He closes his eyes at one point while firing a gun, and do you know what I mean? Like, I get it, but at the same time, he's like,
No,
the
I
guy
kind of
the
want
guy
to
who
see
plays
it
Chris
more now.
the guy who
thing
plays
is, we have
Christopher
a
Robin,
laugh.
I feel like is the writer of it as well. And no disrespect to this guy, but I don't know if you're writing your own dialogue. I don't know, just take a bit more care and attention of it. Innit?
No, you know what? Though? I am gonna pay this out a little bit, and you should watch it, John. More so than you don't need to catch up on the verse necessarily if you don't want to.
Oh,
You
really?
should watch it. My note would, and I preferred this to the first one. I think they have used the budget sensibly, and I like the slightly loving, very subtle leans into the lore of the program. It is ridiculous. It's never going to be sensible, and it is
I
unnecessary.
feel like it
My
needs to
only
be
note would be
more silly though.
just be funny. No, just
Yeah,
like
just be
accept
funny.
that you're very
Yeah,
silly, and there are little jokes in there that they were the moments where I enjoyed the film the most. Those little jokes. If you're making Winnie the Pooh into a horror, just get just make it into a horror comedy, and I think I would rock up for a third one. Just lean into the fact that you can be funny with it.
yeah.
Take away the edge and just be funny. I think
But it's
you'll
annoying,
do
though, isn't it?
better
Because a
for
lot
it.
of the reviews were going, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, Blood and Honey. Did you know it's actually pretty good? I saw a lot of the reviews saying. Who's saying this? It reminds me of, and this is what it reminds me of. The last thing I'll say on it. When I used to work in an office with people, and then horror films would occasionally come up, sometimes a big horror movie comes out, and me quietly thinking, I'm a bloody expert on horror films. Wait till they ask me my opinion. You bloody wait. And you'll say something like, "Oh, has anyone ever seen 28 Days Later? It's one of my favorite films, actually." Yeah. And people will go, "Nah." And then someone will go, "Have you heard there's a bloody Winnie the Pooh horror movie coming out?" And everyone's going, "Yeah, it looks great. It's brilliant." What's that film you recommended? 28? What? Shut up, Ben.
You're that meme of Principal Skinner, aren't you? No, it is the children that
It
are
is.
wrong.
I'm not even talking children here. That's the thing. I'm not talking children. That's the
But
last
it
thing I'll
is
say on it.
it is one of those films that non-horror film fans will hear about, and it gets people talking for some reason when you were
Yeah.
recounting that story about being in the office. Because I was the horror fan in my office
Yeah.
many years ago as well, and for some reason the film that I was waiting on the classics like the Possessions or whatever to be talked about, but for some reason the one rather than like Winnie the Pooh that got talked about was the Human Centipede, and then
Oh
I feel
yeah.
like that was the one, and that everyone wanted to talk about, and I guess like Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey sort of scratches maybe a similar. I don't know.
Similar
I don't
itch.
know. I don't know if it's ever been likened to the
It's
human
the
centipede
itch.
before this moment, but
People love having the conversation when they go, people will watch anything, won't they? People are sick in the head. People are sick.
yeah,
And I go, I actually think that film's a load of shite, quite literally. And they'll go,
yeah,
you're sick in the head. You are, like in films like that. It's not, not.
yeah.
Leave it alone.
I mean, my biggest horror office problem was Halloween last year. There was a horror quiz that was on there. So I joined in my team and said, oh, I'll
Jesus.
come and play. This will be fun. I was like,
You'll
right,
clean up in this.
but he
Yeah.
got this. Well, I would have done. I would have gotten away with it too if the final round, massively Berkeley rules, hugely stacked, like as many points as that were in the rest of the quiz, was about Hocus Pocus 2. And I was like, shoot me in the fucking head. But apart from that, there was a round, and in the first round, I was like, I
Amazing.
genuinely had to pause and consider, because I'm going to get fired for getting into a terrible fight, because it was like, here's the question, and you two will understand this, and the people listening here will understand this. It was like, this is mainstream stuff. You should not be making this level of rookie mistake. But it was like, who is the serial killer in Silence of the Lambs? And I was like, if you say Hannibal Lecter, you and I did.
I thought you were going to go the Jason's mom thing. I thought that was going to be the classic like
yeah.
scream line. That's where I thought that was going. But yeah, that one's good too.
I think you'll find.
It's like, who is the? And I was like, and the answer they had was Hannibal Lecter. And I was like, I think you'll find he's in prison in that, and he's a consultant. That is, I didn't have to
He's a
kick off too
consultant.
much.
Consultio slash.
Yeah, he is a man on community service. The serial killer in Silence of the Lambs is
ever such a nose on him. He's like a
up.
bloodhound,
Yeah.
if anything.
Yeah. Yeah, that's yeah. I know. I empathize with you. And
But anyway, to conclude,
yeah.
Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2. Very
You
silly.
guys are going to get a
though.
chance to see another one though, because they've got. I was just checking because I haven't seen either of them, but there's a Winnie the Pooh, a Pooniverse, which actually sounds like
the Pooniverse is coming.
but that is going to come, and I have actually seen one of the director's other films, so I think I've got an idea of what I might be getting myself.
Which one have you seen, John?
I've seen Firenado, which came just before Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 1. One of my friends is in Firenado, so I saw it to support them. And I'm not going to recommend Firenado necessarily. My friend is very good in it.
Tornado, but there's just a bit of fire in it. Mad.
It'd get blown out, wouldn't it?
It'd get blown out.
Sharknado and Firenado in the same episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will.
You're looking forward to the Pooniverse, aren't you, Ben?
What is? I mean, I'm assuming at the end of Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, there's like again these sort of drawings, these little sketch drawings, which introduces us to all of these characters: evil Peter Pan, evil Pinocchio, evil Bambi,
Mad Bambi, Mad Bastard Bambi.
Yeah. Would you like me to read the
yes,
the
please,
premise?
John.
Well, on Letterboxd, it is Pooniverse monsters assemble. Will team Winnie the Pooh with murderous versions of figures including Bambi, Tinkerbell, Pinocchio, Peter Pan, Tigger, Piglet, the Mad Hatter, and
Tinkerbell.
Hold on. Does this sentence even make sense? Will team Winnie the Pooh?
Mm-hmm.
Is this? But there's no question here. Will team Winnie the Pooh?
Oh, right, and then this has got all of it. It doesn't surprise me, John. All right, even a tagline doesn't surprise me. Will Winnie the Pooh and Bambi? Will they what?
Look at the Letterboxd page.
Will they?
Just to make sure that I'm not. It does say this. Will team Winnie the Pooh with murderous versions of figures including Bambi, Tinkerbell, Pinocchio, Peter Pan, Tigger, Piglet, the Mad Hatter, and Sleeping Beauty for an IP bludgeoning frenzy due for release in late 2025. Is anyone else looking at this page? Am I going mad?
Does it
actually
it
what
just says will they, and then that's it.
Unless Will Team is just one of the lesser known characters that's one of the monsters. Will Team, Winnie the
Pooh.
Oh dear.
Anyway, there you go. Good diverse monsters assemble.
Anything else, Andy? I got a couple. I watched a couple more. Pinocchio Unstrung's got the worst AI like poster as well. Unstrung. Imagine Pinocchio. Yeah. Imagine if he was unstrung. Can
That's
you
his
imagine
whole
what
thing. He's never
that's
has
his whole
strings.
thing? He is unstrung. He's never been strung.
He sings a whole song about not having any strings.
I watched a couple more Stuart Gordon films. I said Stuart Jordan. Then that's very rude. Just to get in the mood for dolls. I watched The Pit and the Pendulum, the movie
Oh,
version
how was
of
that?
Edgar Allan Poe poem story
Story.
poem story. Sorry,
Writing.
Lance Henriksen is in that. Yeah, it was all right. It reminded me of Witchfinder General quite a lot. Sort of those sort of vibes.
Matthew Hopkins. Bad
Old,
bloke.
yeah, what's his flavor? But I did watch Dagon. I think that's how you say it. Dagon. Um, which is very interesting and very, very Resident Evil 4. I'd read before there are a few similarities between that and Resident Evil 4, and there really are. It's like there's a boat wreck off the coast of Spain. They go to like this weird fishing village where people are just possibly half fish monsters. There's like an evil cult. Like a lot of the audio sounds exactly the same as Resident Evil 4, like the horrible gruff, sort of like Spanish speaking locals. Uh, I really liked it, and you can see where the sort of DNA of a game like that, because there's absolutely no doubt that they've ripped a lot of stuff from there. Even like one of the characters is very much like Sadler from that. But yeah, the only thing is the sort of main hero, played by Ezra Godden, Paul Marsh, his name is, absolute wet flannel. Uh, he's
Like
just,
Leon Kennedy in Resident
he's
Evil 2
got
as opposed to
his
4.
glasses are constantly steamed up, and I was annoyed. I was just like, how can you get anything done in this?
It's
Like,
just the
yeah,
real life horrors of wearing glasses in a humid environment.
but I just thought just take him off or something, innit? And he had like a really annoying, like bright orange jumper on as well. And there was loads of times where he was trying to do stealth, and I was like, there was a bit where like all these characters run out of a place, and he tries to blend in with them, like holding something, and I'm like, wearing a fucking bright orange jumper. What's wrong with
You've
you?
really got me then by describing someone's jumper as annoying.
Yeah, it is annoying. I was just like, what's going on here? It was pretty good though. It's got the kind of like Stuart Gordon flavor to it, whereas I think like something like Pit and the Pendulum doesn't necessarily have it. And also Dagon is like from 2001, which is like quite late on, I guess, in his career. So yeah, check that out. That's it from me though. Anything else, Andy?
You've gone on the route, Ben, of watching more Stuart Gordon films, whereas I watched another Dolly film. I watched I watched Dolly Dearest. I was also hoping to get back to more Chucky because the second half of the latest season is out now. I need to catch up on that
Oh yeah.
because I
Oh, I did
continue
watch
to enjoy
I did
Chucky
watch
very
Child's Play
much.
2 as well. Sorry, I did
Yeah,
want to do a Dolly, so I did Child's Play 2. And watched it with my nephews who are 12 and 9. And I was
teach them a
like,
lesson about
it
what you
ain't
mess
that
about.
bad.
This is what happens to
They both
dollies.
said it was very silly. So no one was scared. To be fair, it's not that gory. A lot of stuff happens off screen. Someone gets hit with a ruler, if you remember correctly.
Yeah, teacher gets ruled to death.
She gets
Did you
rulered to
whisper as
death,
though
yeah.
as your nephews are leaving? It's bloody
That's bloody real. Did you see that bloody meter stick? Yeah. Dolly Dearest, go on.
Dolly Dearest is a 1991 film by Maria Leese. It's time to play. An American family moves to Mexico to fabricate dolls, as you do.
Oh.
But their toy factory happens to be next to a Sanzian grave, and the toys come into the possession of an old malicious spirit. Only turns out that right next to where you built a dolly factory in Mexico,
Yeah.
there is a cave
Oh.
where Rip Torn, the actor Rip Torn,
Oh.
is doing some excavation, and there is a little goat baby that was born there as the ultimate bad child. He was going to eat loads of baby souls and be the worst guy, but he was sealed up in there. But now he's going into all the dollies.
Oh.
And there's a little and standard, in Taylor's oldest time, lonely kid having to move somewhere. They get a dolly. They get a dolly, and then they start going all funny with the dolly and getting a bit possessed by the dolly. Um, it's got some creepy little dolly voices,
Oh.
similar to this one, but in a very different style. I think the frame rate on the animation on the film we're talking today is super uncanny and works really effectively.
Yeah.
On the dolly in this one, it is very much like a slightly larger, just slightly off proportion of being a regular child doll, with creepy voice and very rubber face, turning nasty all of a sudden when they become horrible dollies and they're possessed. Um, it's a bit of fun though. It's a bit of fun, yeah. And I don't think it's going to meet the high standards of this one, but I had enough fun with Dolly Dearest. Very Amityville sequel kind of energy.
Yeah, just looking at some screen. I've heard of it. I do want to check it out. I have just put in the chat for you guys to check out.
I saw
I guess it's like one of those Ghanaian posters for like these films. It was, when I googled it, that was what popped up for Dolly Dearest.
Yeah, this is what
That's
happens.
great.
There are
It
some
looks terrible.
pretty rough murders in Dolly Dearest.
When the dolly's got like an angry face, it looks pretty terrifying.
Yeah.
Looks like an
Uh,
evil like Gelfling from Dark Crystal.
In the top one, she looks like she's wearing a
oh.
basketball uniform.
I
Yeah.
actually have a Dolly Dearest Blu-ray. Vinegar Syndrome put one out a few
Oh
years
yes.
ago. I have not. I'm ashamed to say that I have not yet watched it. I used to get like a whole load of the Vinegar Syndrome releases, and this was one that I recognized. Andy, I saw it pop up on your letterbox earlier, and thought, "Oh my goodness, I haven't thought about that film forever." But yeah, I still have to watch it, so I'm gonna watch it next
Oh
week. I think
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Get you watching Dolly Dearest. And Tigger from Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2, take note. It's a little boy in this, and in 1991, unfortunately, he does run absolute rings around you, calling someone a bitch before he gets them. Um, that is probably highlight of the film for me. I'm going to give you the setup, and it will probably hurry both of you plus our listeners to go and watch it. A little boy in the heat of a battle works out how a shotgun works, fires it once into the ceiling, and then says something to a nasty dolly that ends in bitch before you know what's coming.
Uh,
What a time.
what a time, yeah.
Very satisfying. Very good.
Yeah.
Hell yeah,
Well,
man. I'm
I
gonna
will
get that on the
report
list.
back.
Yeah.
It's not the only dollies we've been enjoying, though. Some Dolly Dearests for all of us this week.
Yes, indeed. Film of the week is Dolls, which is a 1987 American horror film directed by Stuart Gordon. It follows 6 people who seek shelter during a storm in the mansion of an elderly puppet maker and his wife, only to find that various puppets and dolls in the home. Well, I feel like this is a spoiler. There's too many spoilers in this. Only to find that various puppets and dolls in the home are alive in some way. Uh, in terms of ratings, we've got 6.3 on IMDb, 52% audience score, 60% critics score, 3.3 out of 5 on Letterboxd, and some choice reviews. Lau says Stuart Gordon was really on a roll from the mid to late 80s. 4 stars. Joshua Dysart says grim as Grimm's fairy tales, an evil stepmother, careless father, rotten older girls, old toy maker, a witch, house fairies, a storm, an endless night, something of a hero prince, as reluctant as he may be. 4 stars. A scary ghost says it's no puppet master, but it's very charming. 3 stars. And then Tom Kemp says toy brackets horror story. 3 stars. Very nice.
There you go.
There we go then. So Andy, you requested dolls as your birthday present.
It's a little birthday treat. And aren't you glad I did, everybody? Because what a fun movie to watch. But I tell you what, I will open with a question for both of you. What country is this set in?
I mean, it's a good question.
Oh, I actually know where it was shot, so I kind
Go
of
on, John.
dear.
Where was it
feel.
shot? And do you think that's incumbent with
Is that
where it is set?
where it was set? Well, it was shot in Italy, I believe.
I
Am I
wouldn't have
right?
guessed it was in Italy.
In Italy.
Am I? I hope I'm right. I think it was because it's all. Oh, hold on, I'm going to see if I can find that out now. But yeah, but where's it set?
I was just thinking America because
Ooh.
of is everyone American? I know the puppet master and his wife aren't. They're
Yeah, they're both British actors, but
well-to-do
the
British
punks are
actors.
British. The punks are English.
Yeah, bloody hell! I get it.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
most English people. Here, governor, you got bloody robberies,
What's going
antiquing.
on? Why are people? Is it established why people are breaking down outside this place? Is it just some sort of energy,
I,
bad
I think
At the
energy?
end, magic.
Yeah, and I think the road is just supposed to be a bit crap. You see, well, we're jumping ahead, but yeah, you see like another. You don't just see one car like spinning its wheels
Yeah.
outside this house. It
Another
was shot
horrible
in Italy, by
family.
the way, guys. It was
There
shot
you
in
go.
Italy. I just checked.
So I would have never
But
guessed of all the things we had on the table, Italy wasn't one of them.
Yeah.
yeah, well,
I'm
yeah. I
assuming.
mean, we could.
Sorry, man. Go on.
I mean, it doesn't look like Italy because it's all a set. It's not. There's no actual house. It's not a location. It was all in the studio, and the house was built um, for this film, and then it's the same house, I believe, in From Beyond. The next film, they reused the
Oh,
set and shot them
interesting.
sort of back to back. Yeah, kind of an
Wow.
interesting
Okay.
one. I think Empire Studios was the name of the studio, according to this. The film was shot in Italy at Empire Studios. I actually didn't realize that Empire had studios in Italy. I thought they were using something else. But yeah, that was kind of how they worked the budget back in those days. There's some interesting stories about just about how this film came about, but I guess we'll get into that in a little bit. But yeah, I mean, like, it's such a multinational cast of characters that coming in. Who knows where it's set?
Yeah. I guess it also adds to the kind of mysterious fairy tale vibes that you get from this film. And you mentioned Ben at the top. I chose this as my free choice and in my birthday month. Um, and I saw this I saw this for the first time not too long ago, maybe about a year ago. I became aware of it because our good friends over at Bristol Bad Film Club were doing a screening of it. I live very
Oh
far away,
yeah.
so I couldn't make it myself. And I think it was to line up with the fact it was getting a 4K release. So I got a copy and watched it in preparation for that because I would have loved to have been there to watch the screening myself. Couldn't go. So I watched it for that. And as soon as I watched it, I was like, okay, we're gonna need to do an episode on this at some point. There's fun things to talk about in this one.
Oh yeah, it's super fun. Where do you reckon they got all those dolls from? Bloody loads. Did they do
Oxfam
Yeah.
shop.
Oxfam shop? Do you reckon they just put a note out there saying anyone who's got a big collection of dolls, can we borrow them just for a little while? None of them
Some of
get
them will
broken.
get put scabby babies in them and broken though, so
We'll
be
put a load of
careful.
scabby babies in them. But
They got
yeah.
they borrowed them off Andy. Look how many's behind him.
Yeah,
Right
all
It's
these.
got bloody loads you have,
That's
mate. Where'd you get all them?
loads.
Use all the leftover ones for that bit of the Tommy knockers.
Scary old dollies. They are scary
But
though, and I think, but yeah, the animation styles, like I think some of them are puppets, right? Some of them are like stop motion. There probably are some bits where people are like in I don't know if it's suits or just like
Stop motion is very smooth. It almost looks rotoscoped, Prince of Persia style.
yeah,
Um,
it could be yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
it's beautiful. It's kind of interesting though that you watched it so recently, Andy. I think because this is one of those films that's from this could either be. I've watched it with some people who kind of grew up with it, and it was like one of their, my other half, Daisy. She like saw it as like it was her like sleepover film when she was
Oh
young
yeah.
and stuff like that. But for me, I only saw it recently as well. Like it's because it's definitely one of those films like you might be forgiven for thinking there's a lot of like nostalgia for people who really love it, but not jumping ahead to our reviews or anything like that, but I kind of think we're fans of it. And yeah, we were all watched it really recently. I actually watched it. I'm a big like physical media guy, so I'm always going to shout about that. I already mentioned the Dolly Dearest Vinegar Syndrome. And Arrow Video put out an Empire. I think it's called Empire of Screams, about like some of the Empire Pictures films,
Oh
and
wow.
that's Dolls was on that. This is a beautiful set,
Oh
and that was where
amazing.
I first saw it, and it was just in the last like year or two as well. Um, so yeah, that's interesting. Was this your first time seeing it, Ben? Is this new to you, this film, or?
This is the first time I've seen this. Yeah, so I don't know. I've seen like a good chunk of Stuart Gordon's films before. Obviously Reanimator, From Beyond, Castle Freak. I don't know. For some reason, this one just always kind of passed me by. And I remember when Bristol Bad Film Club did a screening of it, and it was kind of on my radar since then, but never got around to it. But yeah, glad to have watched it now because I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Very creepy, very yeah, very creepy. I like the little dolly versions of the characters are great. It's great to see them in human form and then see them in little dolly form, especially like the stepmom. That's
Yeah,
uncanny.
with a towel on her
That's
head. Yeah,
uncanny. A little
that's
stepmom with a towel
It
on her head.
really looks like her, yeah.
You had a towel on your head when you died. Forever, you're gonna have a towel on your head. No,
they had
I don't
they
like.
had
That's like the
what's it called,
ghost
didn't they?
rules, though, right? If
Yeah,
you
that's
die,
true.
if she
Yeah.
would be a ghost with that, so why not a puppet?
Um, is this Stuart Gordon's wife that plays the stepmom?
Oh, I don't know. Is it?
Oh, I didn't know that. If that's
Her
true,
last
that's
name is double barreled. It's something Gordon.
Oh,
oh wow,
no idea actually. That's
Hardy
interesting then.
Gordon.
If he's gone right, I want you to be in my film. But I want you to be an absolutely awful, stereotypical stepmom who only is with the feller for his
No, it's
money.
her money. She's the rich one.
Yeah,
Oh, what? Oh no, because she says my money, doesn't she?
Yeah.
My money. I forgive me. Maybe it's because it was 1987, but I assume that that character had been written when she said my money. They were trying to make out that she was. How's she so rich? What happened? Did they explain?
No, she's just
just by being a bitch.
Just
independently
by being a
wealthy.
rich bitch.
Yeah,
I
Well,
mean, Ben, you've seen Carolyn Purdy Gordon in a couple of films. She's in a lot of Stuart Gordon's. Oh, I tell you what, she's in some all-timers. She is a star of 15 films, including Reanimator, From Beyond, Dolls, Castle Freak, Fortress,
they're all Stuart Gordon films. Fortress,
Robo
robot
Jocks.
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 She's in the bloody Pit and the Pendulum, which I watched today. Jesus.
Did she put in a memorable performance in the
What is she in that then?
Is she the neighbor in From Beyond?
No, I don't know. Possibly.
The Pendulum?
Well,
She plays Countessa D'Alba Molina, which sounds very grand and very important. But I haven't actually seen The Pit and the Pendulum, so
yeah.
I
I think
can't
she's
comment.
just the character at the start. She looks very different, even though it's like just several years after this. Everyone looks different in it. Lance Henriksen's got a bald head in that. Don't think I've ever seen that before.
Mm.
Um, wow,
But she
interesting.
does play villain, like, it's debatable who the villains of this piece are. It probably is her, but she is
Yeah,
really exceptional as a
some of the
as
villains.
a rich bitch. She's
Yeah,
really, it's like cartoon character. And it's one of the things that I sort of love about this film that's right up front is you the characters are just dialed all the way up to 10 on who they are, like there is the evil stepmother essentially, even though I think she would reject that title, and the thieves are kind of despicable sort of as well, but fun. The dad, the little girl,
Mhm.
is really such a naturalistic little actor, and her performance in it, she absolutely carries this movie.
Yeah,
She's so good.
definitely.
And she's in barely
Um,
anything else, right? She's in this and Poltergeist 2. Carrie Lorraine is her name. Um, and she didn't appear in very many films. And I was talking to my wife Karen about this as we were watching it. There is a difference between kids in movies of this era versus now. And to a degree, it's the polish they have as actors and the training they have. There are some incredibly talented child actors now.
Hmm.
But I would argue that you see a child actor in something now, and they're basically like a little adult. They're just a tiny little person. Whereas Judy in this film is like a kid. She's like
Yeah,
a kid in the way that she speaks. Her dialogue is so naturally like how a child would talk. And the way she moves, she does like, just plonk around. Like when she's out in the rain looking for a way into the house, she does just stumble about in the rain. And, like I said as well, the little bits of dialogue is like, oh, he's my best friend, except for Teddy, obviously. Like she's just very nice. She's
except for
so
Teddy.
watchable in this
He's the
movie.
only person ever who's been given like a punch doll and gone, he's bloody lovely. I love this doll. Absolutely beautiful.
yeah, that is one of the
Terrifying.
bits that you sort of watch now and kind of go like, oh, that's a weird choice for the old guy to give her, like
Yeah.
as the doll with
This doll.
thousands of options. It's like,
Yeah, yeah,
I'll give
yeah.
you punch.
Give you
Like
I'll
punch.
give
punch.
you a punch
He loves a
just
bit of
because your
domestic
name's Judy,
violence.
no other reason.
Uh, and also Stephen Lee, who plays what's his name? the sort of hero guy. Ralph? Is it Ralph?
Ralph. Yeah.
Yeah, who like turns up all with these two hitchhikers with him, or like, oh, bloody- I don't know, I've got myself into this situation. I've picked up two hitchhikers. They're constantly ribbing me about various things, and
Oh,
now
they
the
give
bloody
him
car's
so
burnt out
much
now.
shit the whole
Give him
time.
so much shit. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I love as well that they don't mess about at all with getting things moving with the story.
Yeah,
Like he literally just walks into the house. Like he doesn't know. They don't even waste time with. He's a stranger
yeah.
who has just appeared in this place, and he literally just walks into the
Just turns
kitchen
up.
and
Both the
sits
hitchhikers
sits
start
down.
helping themselves to the dinner on the hob. Oh,
Yeah,
lovely! Just bloody great.
Oh,
It is an absolute, and it's like middle of the night as well, right? It's insane.
these two punks, the hitchhikers that you get, they are the absolute archetypes of people that you might see somewhere in a out in the wild scenario and be desperate to not have anything to do with them, and then will somehow be next to you. Like you'll see them at the airport drinking at 8 in the morning. You'll be like, oh, okay, I'm not going to see you again. Have fun, and then
they'll
they're
sit
sat
down in
next to you on
front of
the
you or
plane,
next to you.
and it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, no, where are you flying? New Zealand.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, so where do we start? So we start with Judy, her father David, stepmother Rosemary. It says here in the English countryside. So
Oh, there you go.
yeah, so maybe it is set in England. Um, a violent thunderstorm strands the three of them, and they're seeking shelter. And yeah, they essentially break into a
I
nearby
mean, they
moat.
almost run over the punks first, right? The opening scene is
Yeah,
those
Right.
hitchhikers. I guess they're just, were they actually on the rob? Was that a plan, or were they just
I guess so. It's a bit weird, though, isn't it?
incidentally?
Like, should we just hitchhike and see who we can rob?
But bad old Daddy David basically almost like mows them off the road. They literally have to like
Hmm.
dodge roll into some like very, actually is true, very English countryside, just big tufts of grass that are at the side of the road.
See you later. And then obviously the relationship between his family is established early on. David is his daughter Judy from a previous relationship, but he's got pretty much little to no interest in being a dad. Considers her a little bit of a annoyance. Doesn't really want her around. And the mum, the stepmother Rosemary, treats her with even more disdain. It's kind of mean, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's and even to that degree, because like, so they get stuck in the mud because we get they're listening to Exposition FM. They tell them it's about to be a big old rainstorm. Immediately, a rainstorm happens. They get stuck in the mud, and we get 80s, 90s mainstay. Someone trying to push a car out of the mud while someone revs the engine. Absolutely cakes your decks with mud.
Yeah,
Um,
classic.
and you know the little girl, yeah, again, great like little bits of like incidental family dialogue. And now I can't help but think, John, of you saying this is like a sleepover movie for Daisy. Like, you know, the little girl leaning out the car going, Dad, you shouldn't swear, after he says real bad swear word. He goes, God damn it. He goes, Dad, you you shouldn't do some swearing. And he says, yeah, listen to me, she's not my mother. And then that's we get the stepmother reveals that, oh no, Mama Rosemary. And it's like, I'm not, like, you're not my mommy, because yeah, thank God she hates it.
Jesus.
Yeah, she is like a kind of a Disney villain. I watched some of the
Yeah.
behind the scenes stuff, and I think they sort of I think Stuart Gordon refers to her as a bit of a kind of Cruella de Vil type character, and
Mm.
that is exactly like exactly what I mean about every character being dialed up. Like she's just despicable, because very soon after, once they decide to abandon the car, because we got to get this plot moving. We're not wasting any time.
We're
We're
3 minutes in,
into
don't
it.
mess about.
Yeah. Then she really, for no real reason, Judy, the little girl, is carrying her teddy called Teddy with her as they approach this house,
Yeah.
and
So
the
mean.
stepmom just nicks it off her and tosses it, just throws it into the bushes.
Blasts him into the bushes,
Doesn't she
because
say, oh,
apparently
you
that'll
can't
make
bring
her
that?
walk faster.
You can't bring that or something, like it's holding us back, this bloody teddy bear. Jesus.
Something like you'll move faster without it, but really, would she? Would she really? And it's just to kind of like really push that point home.
Yeah.
we do not like this woman, and you're not supposed to like her either. And then we get a kind of like we get our first little bit of maybe like a creature or a monster. And
Yeah.
anyone watching the video version of this episode will see Teddy in his monster
This
form
was
behind me.
totally unexpected, and of course, if you don't know how this scene is going to play out, it is a bit like, right, we're getting started right now, are we?
It's so
Absolutely
good.
no problem.
I think genuinely, Ben, this was the moment in this film that must be like 5 minutes in where I was like, oh, I've got to do an episode on this one, I guess. Because this moment is what certainly me, I was like, I'm in for a good time. That this is established. This is going to be a blast because yeah, if you are watching John's video, you see a sort of a grotesque looking bear, but originally he comes out as Teddy, as the teddy bear, which is if a child was drawing a teddy bear, it is like a golden furred, velveteen, soft bear with big
Like a
eyes,
big
little
Pudsey mascot or something
yeah.
like that. Yeah, yeah.
So he comes waddling out very stiff armed, but then sort of transforms into beast mode here.
Is
He
this
sort of
like,
like falls away in a kind of
Yeah,
quite gross sort of
yeah,
like ways. Like his skin sort of falls away, and then this
he's had enough.
monster eats its
He's been
way out.
holding it in
Yeah,
all this time, being being treated so badly, and now he's going into beast mode. Was this a bit
he's not had his
prophecy?
Snickers. Turned into a right diva now. This is it.
yeah.
Turned into a right.
Andy, was this a bit like prophecy?
His like prophecy, that big scabby bear who whizzes that kid against a tree,
Yeah,
smashes him into atoms. It's a
big
bit
old
like that.
scabby bear.
Yeah, he
Oh man, I'm
becomes a
trying to
big
remember prophecy now.
gross bear. Bites Rosemary's hand off,
Yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah.
slashes the dad's face, and then like bites him on the neck. And then the little girl, Judy, she like just goes, "This is a lovely break," because obviously this has been a moment of terror, and this is completely out of nowhere. A bear has appeared, turned into a monster, killed both of the parents in what was a cold open, and this little girl is standing watching it all happen, and then she just goes, "Oh, Teddy," and he does a brilliant, like soaked in blood and gore across this bear's face, fangs dripping with slobber and entrails, just as a big big shrug.
whoopsie. And then it turns
It's
out,
and it's in that moment that you kind of recognize that, like, if you haven't already got it earlier from the drive here and the sort of soupy yellow lighting of the storm, like it's the real tone of what you're going to get here, which is a violent film that does not take
and I
itself
so,
too seriously.
so of course this is merely in Judy's imagination, but I don't know if I entirely knew that at this moment. I was a bit like, whoa, how is this related to dolls? What are we gonna do now? The adult characters are dead. Like what's it? And then as soon as we
You're
realize
quite
it's
upset. Do you have to text your mum? Bit scary, mum.
bit
Bit
scary.
bit
Okay, what's
gory.
going on now? She's gonna be left alone with a killer bear. Could have been interesting, if she turned up to the house with a killer bear. I think the dolls would have been just ignored, basically the killer dolls. Um, yeah,
Well,
and
yeah,
then
well, oh, sorry, Ben. I'm gonna
go on, man,
talk
go.
over you here. Well, I mean, Judy's imagination is really something that it
Yes,
is a tricky thing that she has to, not that she has to overcome, but that is a problem for her later because her dad is really not supportive of his daughter's over imagination as an understatement. So I really think
yeah.
this scene like just kind of tells us, yeah, this character's definitely got an overactive imagination, and it's an excuse to have, like, they probably had this great Teddy costume
Get
sitting
him in it.
around somewhere, and like, we've got to get it in somewhere. We'll have
Yeah.
we'll have the girl just imagine it, and then they just throw it in. Great, more films should do that. Why not? We've got these great props. How can we get it in? We'll just
Absolutely.
wedge it in.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm slightly concerned now. Like, I feel like I'm the odd one out. So you two never imagined your parents being killed by a grotesque bear when they'd slightly inconvenienced you as a kid.
Maybe once or twice, maybe
Can I
not
have an
there.
extra biscuit, Mum? No, you've got your dinner in a minute. All right. What are you doing?
Teddy.
Are you imagining being
Teddy.
absolutely murdered by a big bear? No.
Jesus. So yeah, then they go to the house and they essentially break in. They do knock on the door. Did they knock? Did they ring a bell? Can't remember.
They
And then
knock
he's
on the door, but no one answers. They go, "Oh well, knocked twice. Break in the basement, then
we'll
shall
break
we?"
in the basement because it's raining outside. We're gonna catch a cold. Break into the basement, and that is when the elderly couple turn up, shotgun in hand, um, and just say, Who could this be then? A lovely older couple named Gabriel and Hilary Hartwick."
I love how Gabriel still has the wherewithal to like. I reckon he was thinking about this. If they were really, I mean, we later learned that this is sort of in on this, but can you imagine if this was you, Ben? Like you're there lying in your bed. Imagine this: you're lying there in your bed one night, and you have a burglar coming in. You're not too worried because you've got a massive shotgun, but you're not just going to go downstairs in your house in the dead of night and confront burglars. You're going to think of something cool to say because that's what happens. Like basically the dad has fallen into some boxes of doll bits and he's all like bedraggled, and then Gabriel rocks up with a shotgun. He's like, ksh, ksh. As much as we enjoy visitors, we do prefer that they ring the bell. As he like gets the absolute drop on this family with both barrels right on their in their faces.
I think Judy says, "We did ring the bell, you mug."
Yeah, she did.
She does.
But she cutes it out. She goes, "But it is awful, we Wayne."
Oh God.
Oh,
Oh, and it is like they do kind of like they're well within their rights to be absolutely furious, but they do very quickly kind of turn into like, "Oh, don't worry about it. It's the middle of the night. People of that age in the middle of the night out for the count.
yeah.
They got to get up. They
Well,
get
this
up
is
at
what
4 a.m.
Not only do
they
they accept it, they're like,
Come
"Stay
on
there,
in.
actually. Make your
Come
bed
on
yeah,
in.
up."
We'll make an
and we're
what do they make? That big we'll make a load of beef stew or whatever it is, like some sort of
Yeah, we
horrible
got a massive
slop.
stew on.
well,
We got a
it's
massive
a pretty
stew
grim
on.
looking soup or whatever it
Yeah.
is. Yeah, but I mean, this is exactly what I mean about the hitchhikers and Ralph coming in later. There must be a sign outside that we don't see of just come on in. We're very welcoming. They literally walk in. No shotguns
Yeah.
for Ralph and the
No.
thieves.
They're
The
just like,
actual like
oh, more people,
wrongins.
eh?
Yeah.
God, I wish I made more stew now. Um, they established quite early on this like sort of kindly nature of the couple, Gabriel in particular, because he gives Judy a doll called Punch. Didn't she tell him that she lost her bear as well? I lost my bloody teddy
Oh
bear.
yeah, they're saying, I find it astounding that you don't have a doll. And said, "Oh, I had Teddy, but and then
I find it
Bad Rosenberry's like,
astounding that you don't
don't
have a doll. Have
you
you got a doll?
don't
No, I haven't.
you fucking stitch me up, Judy. You grass on me for throwing your teddy
Yeah.
needlessly into the woods, and there's going to be hell to pay." And she goes, "Oh, but I dropped it." He goes, "Oh, well, here's
I
Mr.
dropped it,
Punch then."
unfortunately.
Don't read into his history. He's just mischievous.
He's just mischievous, all right? He's been driven to his terrible his terrible actions.
His stick isn't just a knife that he gets out of it later.
The three
Oh
people
yeah.
the three people who turn up, so it's Ralph and the English hitchhikers, Isabel and Enid, one of which who is like Madonna, but maybe like a bit more punky, and the other one who's like, what's her name? Susie and the Banshees. Is that
Yeah.
Susie Sue? Is that what her name is? And then Ralph, who's just like how can we describe what is he like? He's kind of just like he's American to start with, a good-natured American businessman, it says. He's kind of a bit like John Candy, but with less quips, I guess.
Yeah. Like a younger John, like he's played as, slightly like a failure to launch kind of guy. As imagine we don't have his job, but I imagine he's a bit like a hapless vacuum salesman or something, right? That gets really he's like old Gil, but
Yeah.
you're much younger.
And
Um,
he's just in a terrible state, really, and he can't believe that he's obviously making apologies, making his apologies, but at the same time, like, I don't know, if your car breaks down, does the first thing you do just go, right, that's it, we're gonna
break into the
have to
nearest house.
go into the nearest house and just go in there, and hopefully they've got some stuff we can nick.
Yeah,
Um,
everyone is getting out of their car because of the rain and going to the house as if like their cars are not watertight anyway,
Yeah,
as
you
if the
just
car
stay
is
there, wouldn't
not
you? Yeah, it
shelter
doesn't
enough.
make sense.
Yeah, you could stay. Yeah, Ralph is like the kind of sweet, like everyman kid at
yeah,
heart, never grown up properly. Yeah,
yeah. Like
princely like kind
I
of.
guess for modern audiences, old Samwise Gamgee's character in Stranger Things,
Yeah,
Sean Austin, that's his actual name.
that's
So
it.
Sean, like Sean Astin's like character in that one. Like he's like quite a young guy, but has big like nice dad energy.
Yeah, exactly.
A quick question for both of you on the punks. If I was to show you two punks and say what are their names, how many guesses would you need to get to Enid?
Yeah, I
Isabel
don't know
and
who
Enid.
names them.
They're rebelling against the very nature that they've been brought up in. Little Enid, oh, she's definitely going to be a punk. Oh, she
Friends
could have
with
given herself like,
little bunny rabbits with waistcoats on, not being a punk.
what are the punks called in Return of the Living Dead?
Like suicide,
Yeah, suicide and
scab,
Yeah,
trash.
rotten
yeah.
needles,
I mean,
scuzz. Yeah, they're all
probably
those
better punk
badass
names, but
names.
you know.
Not
Uh,
these like
Yeah,
Isabel and Enid.
in answer to your question, it would take me quite a few guesses, I think, before I got to
Infinity
Enid.
guesses.
Yeah, I think
Gabriel,
I
like,
would guess that the
what?
old lady is called Enid long before I
Yeah.
got to
What was the
yeah.
old lady called? Hilary.
Hilary.
Gabriel
Hillary,
invites
yeah.
him to stay the night. Oh, well, you're here. You might as well stay the night. No one gets a wink of sleep in this bloody house. That's what does my head. People are constantly trying to go to sleep, and there's always something happening. Oh, it'd be horrific, wouldn't it?
What would have happened had it just been if everyone had just like not proven that they were childlike at heart? So I'd imagine if everyone just went to bed, would nothing have happened as well?
It would have been nice.
It would
Yeah.
have just been a home invasion, and the two girls would have cleaned up. That would have been the plot. Very different film.
Um.
It would have been like I haven't actually seen it, but Knock Knock. Is that what it's called?
Oh
The
yeah,
Keanu
Knock
Reeves one.
Knock with Keanu
That's like
Reeves.
a weird. That's like a. That's a weird film
Knock
to like.
Knock
It's a
is
weird
you know
like horn. It's like a weird horny home invasion movie, right?
Knock
Yeah,
Knock's
yeah,
real
yeah.
good. I love it because it's entirely his fault. The message, like spoilers for fairly old film, Knock Knock, everybody. If the message of dolls is to remain curious and childlike at heart, and then you'll be all right. The message of Knock Knock is don't try and fuck people.
Well,
Like even because it might be a trap. If something's too good to be true, Keanu probably is.
get Keanu'd. Um. So yeah, Judy goes just looking around the house, doesn't she? And she basically discovers that the mansion is full of loads of dollies and toys, much like Mr. Punch. And I think Gabriel does say, "Me and my wife are actually toy makers, and we make a load of these old lovely toys." And I
He's a bit
think,
sad that the world's moving on though, isn't he? People want stuff that's
yeah,
mass produced.
people want, and I guess he's like Game Boys. He doesn't say that, but you know, it's 1991. People want these
They want
Game Boys and stuff. No one wants to play with a little dolly. That's right, because it's boring. All right.
their Ninja Turtles figures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
weapons are those dolls got? Will we soon find out.
they're Subutio.
Subutio, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it
Those
moves
are-
when you flick it, doesn't it? Subutio.
It's a very different film. Gordon should have made that.
Judy and Ralph, like initially, like they're the two that seem to be starting to build something of a bond because Ralph is like a child at heart, and he's never given up on his love and fondness of toys. And Judy, of course, absolutely loves toys.
She's a little kid.
So yeah, in a
Everyone else
world,
basically goes to bed, and only Judy, only those two go for
yeah.
a tour of the house, Judy and Ralph. Whereas everyone else is like, right, show's my room then. Do you not want to come round while I give your actual kid? No.
No, I
I
don't.
want to go and have
Ralph's
a
like,
carafe of wine in
absolutely,
bed,
I'm
please.
well involved. Let's get involved. I want to have a look. And we soon find out that Isabel and Enid are, it says petty thieves here, petty, ever so petty. They hitchhike with Ralph, intended to pick his pocket. I mean, it's like, is it risk and reward here? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like getting a lift somewhere is just as good as, I don't know, a fiver or whatever they're going to steal from him. What are they going to steal from him? His
He was in a
Casio
cash-heavy
watch.
society, though. Like, you know, he'd have had all of his money in there for his holiday. He had his traveller's checks, everything.
He had a
Uh,
really, actually, now that I think about it, and I never thought about this at the time, but wasn't his car just a two-seater?
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
someone was sitting on his knee.
So someone one on each
Maybe
knee.
that was it. That's why he came and burst in the house. It was getting far too bawdy because they're really giving it like every
It was
time.
like Knock Knock.
Yeah, the puns are so exaggerated in that one. Now you've mentioned that twice. You might have to do a knock knock episode before the year is out, but I reckon it counts.
Is that horror? Does that count as a horror? I guess it does.
I reckon it does.
Seen it, so I don't know.
So they basically go, oh, there's loads of love. Is it the toys that they're after in this when they go?
No, they say, oh, they've showed that they're very not only they're petty thieves, Ben, but they're illiterate ones because they go, hey, got any of these bloody antiques?
Oh
And
yeah,
the other bee's like
antiques. That's pretty good though. I like that.
absolutely
Or-
It's
straight
not even
faced.
that.
Goes
It's not even
antiques.
antiques.
Antiques as well.
Antiques,
Antiques,
yeah,
that's
something
it.
like Antiques. Bloody antiques. Bloody
Love
hell.
It's quinoa all over again.
So yeah, she sneaks out of her room to rob the mansion. While she's trying to
Shit
do it
thief
like
as
that
well.
music box.
She's like, what am I gonna have? This airbrush, this picture frame.
Those are crap. What are you gonna Are you gonna transfer? Are you gonna move this stuff? Like when you
Ain't got no
decided what to nick,
pockets.
you can well, they've got no pockets, but like you, there's a two-seater car at the front, which I don't know if you can drive or not. You're just gonna. What are you gonna do? I don't get
Well,
it.
it's stuck in the mud, so they're not getting
Exactly.
away without
Just
help.
carry all
Yeah.
this stuff down the street. Just
Yeah,
like
they're just gonna like go out like like you're a kid and you've got an extra packet of crisps. You're trying to get past your mom to go and eat in your room. As she walks out
what have
like
you
a
got
suit
there?
of armor.
Nothing? A music box. But yeah, and now she gets attacked by the dolls, but we don't know that they're dolls at this stage. We just know that they're like little something happening in the shadows, little voices and
Little
laughter.
fairies, yeah,
Yeah.
or something like that. Don't they say, or is it little people or fairies? I can't remember what Judy thinks because
Yeah,
Judy
the little
witnesses
people.
it. Yeah, she's out. Is she still out on her tour, or does she get disrupted in her room? I can't remember. But she sees one of the punks, Enid. I don't know which one actually it is, but what her name is, getting dragged away.
So apparently that one
Which could have
is Isabel, the one who
Isabel.
gets like
that's Isabel. Sorry, right, okay.
repeatedly slammed into the wall.
I love this effect because she's clearly been picked up by a force that we're not meant to see yet. So we just see her arms lifted
Yeah.
either side off frame while someone legging her wings her into the skirting board several times. And
Into
she
the
gets
skirting board.
gets her teeth knocked out.
Not the bloody skirting board, smashing my face in.
Yeah.
And you know what? This film, the amount of times Judy or Ralph or anyone who's aware of the dolls tries to tell an adult that something, it's annoying the amount of times that it's not believed. If you say one more time that a load of little dollies have done this, well, all for you because now you're a punch man. You idiot. In your lovely
Yeah,
pajamas.
the dad is raging. I mean, maybe we've got him all wrong. Maybe if you had an extended cut of this film, there are weeks and weeks and weeks of her telling him, it's them bloody dollies, they've done that. Like it's
Yeah,
and he
'cause it does
loses his
seem like
mind.
he's
He's like,
just
ghosts and goblins and
yeah, well, yeah, because he's like annoyed
raging.
with her overactive imagination, isn't he? He's like everything's this, everything's that. I'm sick of it. That when it's like Judy cried wolf when said she cried dolly.
Yeah, she cried Dolly, and the dad, Daddy David, Daddy comma David, is trying to just have a he's just trying to have a glass of wine in bed, isn't he?
Who does he think? Right, who on earth does David think he is? Having a glass of wine in bed. At one point, he goes, "I'm just going to nip and have a shower." This isn't your house. Like you can't just nip and have a shower. You have to establish these things. How does it work? Sometimes it's difficult. The knob needs to be in a certain direction. Is anyone giving you a towel? Where are the towels kept?
Have they got the water running 20?
For a
Have they got the hot
shower?
water running 24/7, or is it on a timer?
Exactly. It's 1990. What is it? No, 1987. Like I've got to put the hot water on an hour
Put the
before I have my
immersion
shower.
on.
It's the middle of the night. What's going on?
And he's drinking, and it's not just that he's drinking red wine in bed. If that goes on the covers, that ain't coming out. And
These are antiques, these bloody covers.
yeah, antiqued covers. And I've never drunk red wine in bed. If either of you have, can you tell me, is it just an absolute recipe for heartburn? Because it feels like it is.
Oh God, it's back. It must be. Yeah.
You'll be
I mean, I don't
blasting
think
a
I've
cup.
done it.
It'll be going down Gabriel's kitchen looking for Rennies in a minute.
Got any readies in here? Although, sorry, we don't actually have much connection with the outside world at all. We don't know what's going on. We don't keep up with anything. They do say that at one point.
Somebody milk and magnesia in here. Like, so David is absolutely raging that Judy tries to report a murder to him. And he
Yeah.
goes, right, I'm going to give you some good old-fashioned child violence. And then actually, credit to her, the wicked stepmom Cruella de Vil steps in there and goes, don't go hitting your kid. I mean, for bad reasons. She's gone because it will cost more of my money in child support if you beat your kid up.
So when
Uh,
she says my money, is that what established it for you that she was the rich one?
Oh, there's literally a bit that where he goes, "Oh, I'm sick of seeing that kid anyway. Maybe I'll just send her back to her mom. Forget it if we, forget it about that. It just means more of, we're out, we're rich." And he says something like, "We're young, we're sexy, we're rich." And she goes, I'm rich."
Okay. I
Yeah.
missed that. I missed that for some reason. But yeah, a nice dynamic, even though they are both assholes.
Yeah, and I mean, Rosemary does immediately blow it because she goes, "Oh, your dad can't hit you, but I will fucking give you a hiding, mate."
Jesus. That's how it works. Oh, guys,
But
I'm gonna have to.
someone who's not blood related to you, can beat fuck out of you if you tell me a single lie. Judy's next option is to go and see Ralph in his room, and he said goodnight because again, his spirit of childlike wonder. He's saying goodnight to a dolly that's next to his bed, but then gets made to jump immediately because Judy, a scary kid, is at the end of his bed, and she goes, "You believe kids, don't you?" And he goes, "Yeah, I believe kids." It's because I just seen a murder done by dollies. Come and have a look. It's all
I think
right.
he's skeptical initially, isn't he? But then,
Yeah, he doesn't. He doesn't believe her right straight away.
yeah, all
It
He's
right.
like,
isn't until he
well,
sees the blood on her. She's
Yeah,
literally
that's
got.
right.
yeah,
What's
he's
this
like,
on
well, I'm
you?
sure that'll be fine till morning. Good night.
Does
How
Mr. Punch
disappointing
like?
is it, by the way, that we don't get to see the doll from his bedside table again? Because I think it's one of the creepiest looking ones in the film. It's like a weird clown sort of doll,
Oh,
and
It's like
I
horrible
don't.
soft clown, isn't it?
horrible
Yeah,
soft clown. That was a
and
doll.
you know what? Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe we do see it, but I don't recall us seeing that again. That doll, and I feel like that's a missed opportunity, Stuart Gordon. I'm sorry.
Oh, maybe that was literally just a doll, just a creepy doll. We got this creepy doll.
Oh yeah,
It's not a person that we've turned into a doll.
I'd have
yeah.
had him
What a
waving
plot
out the
twist!
back of the car at the end.
What are they doing with the cars as well? If they're getting, I know, a slight spoiler. Coming at
A
head
car
butt.
graveyard like Maxine.
Oh,
Not
great.
Yeah,
Maxine,
it's like
Pearl.
it's like the end of From Dusk Till Dawn,
Yeah.
just
Oh
out the
yeah.
back.
It's not off the back. Oh, that's
Yeah,
great. That's a great shot, isn't it? No one's ever gonna look there.
To be fair, they are magic. They do manage to, again, spoilers, they can turn people into dolls. Maybe this is where Transformers are born.
there's probably loads of toy cars all through
Yeah.
the shots if you actually
Yes.
look really
That'd
They
be
closely.
great,
create the
wouldn't it? Yeah.
Cars universe. Lightning McQueen is one of Gabriel's. This is it.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is a shared universe theory.
This is the Pooniverse.
This is the
It's
Pooniverse. Oh god.
Pooniverse all over again.
Yeah.
It says here that Mr. Punch briefly speaks to them. Does that happen?
He does a bit later. Right now, we've seen Judy doing his voice, where she's like, when
Okay.
Judy first wanders out, when she sees Isabel's murder, she's like, "Do you want a drink, Mr. Punch?" She goes, "I sure do, Judy. Let's go." And then off they go. They do investigate, and yeah, Ralph eventually, as John says, sees the blood on Judy, and they go and investigate. And they go up to an attic where the candles are creepily blown out because of wind. And Ralph gets a comedy like door opened on his face.
Oh,
But they
okay.
go up, and we see it as the audience, but they don't yet. We see Isabel slightly, only in a fleeting glimpse, as some light comes on and then goes off again. We see that there's something up with her up in
Yeah.
a workshop. You see her strapped to a chair.
Very creepy.
But
Yeah.
the guys go downstairs and they meet up with Gabriel, who sort of passes everything off. He goes, "Oh, what's all that red stuff on the floor?" He goes, "Oh no, sorry." Before they see Gabriel, Ralph takes a tumble down the stairs because one of the horrible dollies bites him on the leg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Classic. Is this
Um,
it is Isabel we see as a doll sort of in the background, isn't it? But
yes,
she's still like human sized at this stage, right?
yeah, still human size,
Yeah.
but as horrible like a slightly plasticky face and goggly eyes at this point. And we only see a fleeting glimpse at this point. We get to see more of it later. But it's just as the lighting work in the film, it shows the background. The characters don't see it. They go downstairs. Ralph is tripped by some dolls and has his foot cut. They meet Gabriel. He goes, load of red on the floor. He goes, I'm so sorry, that's me. And they're like, what? He's just bloody admitting it. He's admitting it. He goes, don't tell Hilary if you don't mind. Don't tell her. He goes, what do you mean don't tell her? He goes, yeah, I spilt some red paint.
I was
He's the one. He
painting.
said, I thought you were talking about a murder. No, red paint.
I wouldn't just outright admit to a murder. I was painting a little doll, and then I spilled a little bit.
Wazzed a whole big tin of emulsion all over the floor.
Oh, be a bit more careful, Gabriel, for God's sake.
It's just to give the doll some rosy cheeks as well. That's the line he gives, and it's like,
Oh
there's
yeah.
buckets of this stuff, man.
Yeah, it doesn't open like a little tiny pot of Warhammer paint that's that big. He's gonna do it as
How
a-
much paint do you
It's
need
a
per rosy
Dulux.
cheek?
Yeah, 20 liters, 20 liters, rosy cheek red, noddy red.
Okay. I think Rosemary gets got by the old dollies, pretty much now, right?
Yeah, so I forget what happens. They do knock on the door. Ralph comes to tell the parents. Daddy Com and
Everyone
David
accuses
comes
Ralph
out.
of being being a wrong in here for
Yeah.
because the dad thinks that he's getting too. He's like, stay away from my daughter, and the other punk, for some reason, thinks that he might have,
Yeah.
offed. I've forgotten her name again. It's only Enid that stuck in my
Isabel.
head for some reason. Isabel,
Isabel,
thank you.
yeah.
And he goes through a bit of a rough accusation here from all
Yeah.
sides.
Yeah, he's getting stitched up
I
left,
feel
right,
a
and
bit
centre,
sorry for
isn't
him.
he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he puts. I mean, it's in lots of our other institutions, it's unusual to see someone getting accused of being a nonce in the actual 1980s. Usually they wait until the 2000s and they're dead before they out them for that kind of behavior.
If we wait a good 20 years, we'll get him.
Yeah.
Ralph's innocent.
Ralph, though, nothing wrong with him. So
No, he's a good egg.
yeah, he's a good fella. He just still likes toys. I imagine that does cause a few red flags for a few people. But he's just genuinely likes toys, and he tells a heartwarming story about how
Yeah.
my dad told me that dollies were real, and my dollies used to come and eat. They used to come and play
Imaginary
after sleep,
cookies,
and
yeah.
I gave them some biscuits, but all that meant was I got a bloody good case of ants.
Yeah.
And
So
it is pan. Did you ever, when you were a kid, did you ever try and like catch your toys like Toy Story style, just like burst into your room out of nowhere to say, "Right, what are you doing?" No, they're all just lying there. Well, I'll get you next time. I'll get you next time.
yeah, too busy imagining
Yeah,
imagining
yeah.
bear attacks. Sorry.
So Rosemary gets attacked by the dolls. How does this happen? Because she ends up falling out a window,
Well,
doesn't she?
yeah, she's gone to bed with the ump because the dad goes, right, I'm sick of you, and he goes to chase Judy, but she runs off. So the dad chases her into the house to try and catch up with her, but defying logic of films everywhere, a small child is able to easily outrun a fully grown adult. He gets lost in the maze of corridors. But Rosemary basically goes, right, enough of this, turning over and going to sleep. And then before you know it, she throws off the covers because she's like little lumpy bumps crawling up under the covers, sort of accompanied by horrible dolly noises like
Yeah, that is horrible.
dolly whispering.
It is horrible. That is. Yeah, that is one thing that freaks me out. I think is that sort of stuff reminds me a bit of like I think maybe in the gate
Oh
the
yeah,
noise that
the
they kind of
little
make is a bit like
boggling men.
little bloody boggling fellers. Yeah,
This whole sequence is like the best sequence in
yeah.
the film as well. And there are a lot of other great sequences, but this is where they spent the money. This is where they spent all the time in this day, and it's probably the first real look we've had at everyone. I'm trying to think now. Is like when she pulls back the duvet. it's game on.
Yeah.
These all these wonderfully stop motion animated dolls just swarm her. And
It
it's
really has to be
wonderful.
seen to be believed that there is. I'm not sure I know enough of the technical terms. We should have also got an animator to come and join us just for this one, because the smoothness of the motion of these dolls, like, it feels like it's in a higher frame rate than the rest of the film. Like, it is really like the minutiae of the movement is incredible, and then being mapped onto, I imagine they've been chroma keyed onto the background of the actual bed. It works incredibly effectively, and they are brutal. I think if you can, with the exception of the bear massacre, you might be forgiven for thinking this was a tamer, kind of child-friendly, more of a horror film, like a bit of a tamer affair. But they're shanking her
Yeah.
to pieces.
Hanking her to absolute pieces, cutting her to ribbons is what they're doing.
Yeah, they're stabbing her with little things, and it's like a wonderful mix of so many different effects. There's like stop motion shots, there's shots of like puppets, there's like of puppets on strings, there's shots of like probably hand puppets, there's shots where just the actress has like, dolls just attached to her costume, and she's running around pretending as if they're attacking her, and all this stuff is just intercut, and it all works gangbusters, man. It looks
Yeah,
really
it was
good
great.
and really effective. And the stuff that is, I mean, it's obviously, no one's going to mistake it for looking realistic, but it looks so wonderfully stylized that it's just, you can't really fault it, even for, with so many years that have passed. The interesting thing about the violence, though, as I understand it, talking about how brutal the attack is, I think the original intention was to go much more violently. I heard that really should check. I don't think I've watched the deleted scenes on the thing, but I heard they either shot or were going to do a scene where they like pulled out her intestines, which doesn't
Oh
actually
God.
happen. And I think they like sort of, Andy, at the start of this episode, you sort of described this as like kind of a fairy tale, and I think that was more of the vibe they were going for. So they really pulled back on the violence. That's the way I understand it anyway. I'd quite like to see if any of those like scenes exist, or a hyper violent cut of it would be great. But yeah, I
The
think
Gordon cut.
originally the Gordon cut. I think originally this scene was going to be even more brutal, because I think it's brutal as
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
It's incredibly brutal. And we know, everybody. I mean, it happened to me today. I had to reach too far out of the window of my car to get a ticket out of a car park. Then the car turned itself off because I thought I'd stopped. I got real flustered. So what I'm saying is we can all make rough decisions under pressure, and Rosemary is no exception here.
I mean, if that doesn't, if that's not comparable to getting attacked by loads of dolls, then I don't know what is. I
Yeah,
think
you just
you'd just
gotta
panic, wouldn't you? Just
you
be like,
gotta draw
what
parallels where you
on
can in real
earth is
life.
going on?
Yeah.
So
And
she
So
Rosemary
like,
what you're
goes,
saying, Andy, is you threw yourself out of a window when
I
you
did
couldn't
throw
get that
myself
ticket.
out of a window
Yeah.
pretty well. Could have reversed and gone back in closer, but I was like, basically, I'm gonna have to lean real far out here to get this thing.
are
And
we supposed to believe that obviously that Rosemary falls out of the window to her death? The toys will get down there like little ants and bring her back upstairs and put her in the bed
we're in the bed to do a reveal later. Yeah.
to do a lovely reveal that lasts forever. I'm just gonna go and have a shower. No, look at the body now. We're all here. We're
They're under the
ready.
bed like shh, shh, shh.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so she basically is surrounded. The dolls are chasing her everywhere. There is I would argue, quite easily step overable line of dollies at the top of the stairs. You don't fuck about on the stairs. That's rule one
Yeah.
of everything.
Look what
No
happened to
messing about.
Ralph earlier.
Yeah.
You gotta watch yourself.
So she is right. You know what? I'm gonna barrel over these dollies. Unfortunately, she doesn't realize there is a big person-sized window that is exactly jumping distance away from them. And unfortunately, wouldn't happen nowadays. Insulation as it is today, a double glazed window you might bounce off, but the single glazing of 1987 as you dive in straight out to your immediate death.
Not the bloody single glazing. So she's dead, and then Enid is up next, the other punk. She's searching for Isabel, and then she finds her pretty much transformed into a dolly version of herself.
Yeah, the glue hasn't set though, because her eyes pop out.
Her eyes pop out.
Yeah.
The glue hasn't set
And
now.
and we get that moment of the poster, the doll with its eyes out, which is
Yeah.
one of the interesting things that I alluded to earlier. Like, this film existed as that poster first.
Did it?
They
Oh, wow,
they
okay.
wrote the film because they were like, we've got a great title, we've got a great poster, we need to have a film to go with it. And then I actually think they wrote most of the film before they realized, oh, we never actually had that doll with her eyes out.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
think they threw in
That
this.
makes
Add
it.
it in. I
Yeah.
hate it
much
though
of-
when films have a great poster with a great moment and that isn't in the film. I think that is always really disappointing. Like, if it's got a great
Yeah.
image and you're like, I can't wait to see how this pans out in the film, and it's not there. So
If I could just add
kudos to them.
another poster moan. I hate it when posters have the actors in a line or in a sort of, they're sort of blocked out in some way, and the names don't match the order.
Yeah.
Like, so like
That
if
is
they're just reading
annoying.
left, right. I hate that.
That is annoying.
Please stop that, poster makers.
Yeah, because it's
Anyway,
confusing for
nothing
people
to
who
do
don't
with
know who
dolls.
Tom Cruise is. They're looking at it going, who's Tom Cruise? And he's free then. And it's like him, Ving Rhames, and Simon Pegg on the front. Which one of these is old Tom
All the
Cruise?
names are out of order.
Yeah, it is
Ving
annoying.
Rhames
I
is
don't really.
looking different.
Is there some sort of science behind that? The names are like in the line of like how they're billed, and then it doesn't matter how they
I
appear
know
on the
that
poster.
negotiations
Yeah,
for
they're
like apart from the
contractual, I
lead
think.
of the name, whoever is the and is also heavily negotiated because people also, if their name is not going to be first, they want them to be last because I think it's the one that you remember.
And introducing, I like that. Oh yeah, and then the little toy soldiers blasters to bits as well, don't they?
After a
Yeah.
really extended fanfare, you'd have plenty of time to move.
Yeah, I think she didn't
She's
believe that
taking
they were
them
going to
down left,
commit.
right, and center first because she's got a very powerful lighter, and all of the dolls, being as it is the late 1980s, are wearing
Yeah.
shell suits apparently because they
They
go up
go,
like a health and safety
they go
nightmare.
up like they're absolutely covered in bird's custard powder.
Yeah. Yeah, they absolutely go up a treat. It's like bonfire night over there. So there's a little cowboy that attacks her and is like lassoing her while doing some really obnoxious like yeehaws, and you feel like
Oh,
burn him
I'll
up.
tell you what, if you're going to be turned into a doll, like of all of them, I was like, I want to be a little cowboy fella.
That'd be
Definitely.
you, little
Just
cowboy
that'd
baby.
be me. I just keep thinking,
Oh.
like, obviously, some of these people have just been turned into this. Like, the dad wasn't Punch when he got turned into Punch. Are some of them turning up in these outfits and getting turned into the dolls? Or are they just like, is it like potluck? Because some of them end up like
Yes.
that, and other people just end up like a generic doll.
Like a Victorian
Yeah.
little girl.
A legit Wild West cowboy turned up in
Yeah.
England, England / Italy / America, and got dollified. No, but there's a big reveal happening in this scene though, which is we realize for the first time. I don't know if it really impacts anything, but we realize for the first time in this scene that the dolls are actually like doll suits. There's
Yeah.
little like slimy green
Or
Beef
slugs.
jerky.
things inside the dolls that are like wearing these dolls as suits. And I don't know really if that does that make us more sympathetic to the dolls. I'm not sure. Maybe
Little desiccated mummies, like those ones that they eat in Futurama. They're
Is
a
it always-
delicacy.
Do they always do it to bad people though? Is that what we're supposed to believe? That they always
Yeah.
do it to people who turn up and they try and rob them?
Only
There's a lot of
rotters.
people turning up trying to rob them. Loads. Too many.
Yeah,
Well,
let's
we've
have a
got many.
look how
We've got
many
that
behind
many
Bunty.
anti-Qs in the house.
Yeah.
It's a real anti-Qs roadshow over there.
So Enid gets absolutely peppered by the little toy soldiers.
Oh, this is so funny because she's like stomping them. She's like Stone Cold Steve Austin up in that loft. She's absolutely cleaned house. And then she gets downstairs, and then literally there's a line of soldiers that like go. Not
Match
yet.
of the
And when they're up there, she's like, "What flipping her watch?" And then they finally put the blue bugle down, and then absolutely all blaster with
Yeah.
what feels like huge bullets that go right through her.
Yeah.
And then they do
Exit
another
wounds.
round. It's like the end. It's like that bit in Platoon. She's like,
It is just like that bit in Platoon.
So she's dead. That's it. She's done.
Yeah.
Ralph gets. It says here, Ralph gets caught in a trap the dolls have set for the other adults. How does that work?
I mean, there's a little chat in the kitchen where this is where Punch talks to Ralph first. He's like, "You know the truth, Ralph. Follow your heart."
Yeah. Follow your heart, little dollies. Oh yeah, and then this is the bit where obviously the dolls are set to kill Ralph, but then Judy's like, "No, he's my friend and he's done nothing wrong." And the dolls have a moment where they all just chat amongst
Yeah.
themselves.
The trap, I guess, is that a door opens
Yeah,
and they walk in and the door closes and it's a room full of dollies.
yeah,
A devious trap.
a great trap. We've got
I kind of feel like they change all adults. I don't think it is just baddies. I think they change
Yeah.
all adults, and I feel like Ralph gets a pass because of his
Okay.
childlike
at heart. If you still
heart,
like dollies, maybe like that's why you have to take it very carefully. You have to like dollies, but not so much that he's creepy. You'll notice that he was neither wearing quite a thick jumper or had glasses that were slightly too thick. Otherwise, that'd be too many flags. And it'd be like, no, you can get in a doll.
This is pretty creepy when they're having this little conversation. I don't like their beady little eyes when they're doing this. They've got like beady little eyes
Again,
and
the
little
effect
smiles.
is so good. They're like,
Yeah.
it's so hard to say. Like John says, it's not like they look like mod. They look properly like dollies, like horrible dollies that are alive, and they have faces that nobody ever wanted to sell dolls would ever paint on a doll's face.
Yeah. It is pretty horrific. But yeah, they decide, do you know what, Ralph? You're a good guy. You can leave, and they open the door and they're allowed to leave. Which is
Yeah.
nice, isn't it?
I thought Ralph was going to have blown it. And I was watching it with Karen. You can tell that when she's invested into it, because when Ralph tries to escape, he's like, "Run, Judy!" And then he starts trying to stomp on dolls, and he breaks a couple. Karen was like, "Oh no, Ralph, what have you done? You've blown it."
I mean, that's a pretty severe. Like he actually did annihilate a couple of those dolls. I thought, the first time I watched it as well, he was a goner.
Yeah.
They're really forgiving.
Yeah.
You did kill 4 of us, but
Yeah.
on you go.
I guess maybe they know that Gabriel can repair them.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Gabriel sort of
Maybe.
David discovers Rosemary's dead body, goes for a shower first, obviously. He's got his lovely gym jams on. Discovers a dead body and then pretty much immediately assumes it's one of those things, when someone discovers a dead body and then the dead body somehow is like just falling onto the no, oh god.
They're like magnets.
He thinks that Ralph killed her, so he goes and accuses Ralph, right?
Yeah, I mean that's what any sane person would do. If you think that someone is so deranged that they are a killer,
Yeah.
go and confront them immediately.
Yeah, exactly.
With plans to beat them up.
Rage.
He does break a chair to give himself a weapon.
Yeah.
And actually, I don't know if it was intentional or a mistake, but the way the chair breaks is really satisfying, and I can kind of even feel as he lifts it up, going like, "Oh yes, this broke in a really good way on the first take or whatever."
Yeah,
it's got a lovely little bit sticking out. He's ready to do some damage with that.
They're in the workshop now when this is all happening as well. He basically does he does the thing where it wasn't me, it was the dolls, and he's like, right, that's it, I'm had fucking enough, you absolute idiot.
If you have not known one thing about David, one, he doesn't like murderers or people who are wrong-uns, doesn't like Rosemary being killed. We've established earlier he hates it when you say a dolly's done something.
Right,
stop making up stories.
How's this credit crunch happen then? I hate to let you know, but a dolly's done it. For fuck's sake! Don't talk shit. So I don't believe you.
Goes down the carb and there's no fresh fruit or veg. What's caused all these supply chain issues, Ben?
There was an evil dolly who actually went around stealing everyone's groceries.
What?
For fuck's sake! Bloody dolly. So yeah, David refuses to listen. He goes rogue in this moment. He knocks everyone out. Everyone gets knocked unconscious. So many silly bits where someone needs to be out of this scene, so they're just knocked out. We don't need them in this bit. knocked out, and when they wake up, we'll just tell them something else. Like it's like the Men in Black sort of
Yeah.
flashy thing.
I mean, Ralph does give
Wake up. I
Ralph
thought this
does thump
happened.
David in the nose. He gives him one.
Oh yeah. Um. So what happens? Oh yeah, Mr. Punch comes to life and attacks David in
It's
this
David
moment.
versus Punch.
David versus Punch. But the other dolls, they get involved as well. They drag Ralph and Lou and Judy away to safety. But Mr. Punch gets absolutely obliterated, gets his face caved in.
Yeah, I mean, we've already had like at first, like Punch has been like kind of toying with David Rod because when he's chasing Judy, he's like, if you don't come out, I'm gonna rip up this Mr. Punch earlier in the film, and
Yeah.
he's made of stern stuff, so he escapes. But this time, I love the little bit where Mr. Punch is like throwing his little stick between two hands, and then he like whips it out and it's like a little knife.
That is good. Mr. Punch. Who would have known he was capable of that? I sure
Just
did,
mischievous.
because
Stop
he's
looking into it.
notoriously a violent bastard. Um, the Hartwicks appear and they go basically do a bit of exposition here. They go, they're a magician couple who see toys as the heart and soul of childhood. And we dislike the bitterness of adults. So when people seek shelter here, apparently all the time,
Everyone's tested. They do give them a fair chance. They're very quick
everyone
to
is
say that.
tested. So people like Ralph, who appreciate the joy of childhood, and children like Judy are spared, and they leave the house with a fuller appreciation of life. But everyone else, and I'm going to say 98% of people who've turned up at this house, who refuse to change their ways, they can never leave, and they're turned into little shrunken,
To live
desiccated mummy
again,
people.
to begin a new life as a dolly.
Are these? It seems like the toys. Like when you become a dolly, you're almost like you're in doll mode. Then you're like, you're a little doll. You're mates with all the other dolls, and you're willing to kill everyone else. I can't imagine it's just you in doll form, and you're like absolutely flabbergasted at what's happened.
Yeah. Yeah, you just get a new life and you know that's your role now.
Yeah, it'd be horrible, wouldn't it? Do you get like a little porcelain body? Do you have like? I guess you have no genitals. I mean, that'd be it for me. I'd be like,
I
right,
don't know
that's
how
it.
much of a I don't know how much of a craftsman Gabriel is, Ben.
What are you doing down there, Gabriel? I'm making the porcelain knobs again. Don't worry about it. I've got them all lined up. I'm painting them all. They're brilliant.
Don't spill the paint on the floor again. Stop
Don't
using
spill
so
the paint
much.
on the floor. That's his excuse for everything.
Yeah. How does Mr. Punch get the original Mr. Punch, not new David Mr. Punch?
Just
How does
smashed.
David eventually see him off?
I think he just smashes him to bits with the bit of the chair, and then he like taunts the Hartwicks by basically saying, "Oh yeah, look at your Mr. Punch. Look what's happened to him. He's been battered." And then he
I feel like he's got like a big
agonizingly,
hammer and he just smashes his
yeah,
head, his skull. Yeah.
grabs something from the workshop, didn't he?
Okay, so he
And
smashes him. I love the bit of during the Punch versus David fight. There's a wonderful bit of it's just a tiniest little thing, but it's very clever where David grabs like a jar of like paint or something like that and he throws it at Punch. And then in the scene where there's obviously, I think it's an actor in a Punch mask, but the scale is done that he's quite small. And then they obviously just have taken a shot of him throwing that pot behind it, and then he is green screened in front of that, so it looks like the same pot is smashed behind him. And you can unpick it and you can see how they did it, but it also, I just found it really neat and really clever. And I'm like, yes, you've done that with the resources you had, and it's a really smart thing to show that scale that you can do with it, and it's a really fun part of the thing. And I love the transformation scene as well. So when the
yeah,
magic comes up and they transform David into a dolly, how do you reckon they did this? It's like backwards from our film The Beast Within a few weeks ago, Ben.
yeah, it was a bit like there was definitely some Beast Within going on because he kind of like started like his head started expanding and getting a bit bulbous, and then when obviously you see it turn into like a
Big punch chin.
nose. Big, big punch chin. It was kind of funny. I was laughing at this, but even the sequence of him like proper shrinking and turning into Punch was a great shot as well, and it is fascinating. It does make you think, how the hell did they do that?
Even shrink his little silk jammies.
Oh yeah, and they do say, well, Punch, he wasn't wearing this before, but we do enjoy. It doesn't really match his hat, but
I love it that Gabriel also has a story as well when they see. So obviously we come to the next morning now, and Judy and Ralph wake up, and in one of the little throwaway, like, so Gabriel's there and he goes, "Oh, Mr. Punch, he's just got ready for bed. Actually, he's had a."
I recognize those pajamas. Definitely sure that I've seen my. No, no, no. This is the best fake letter ever, everywhere, because it ties up
That's
all the
so
loose
good.
ends. All the loose ends. And I love the fact that Ralph is being dubious. He's like, what? The dad was a horrible man. Why has he left us money for a plane ticket? So the fake letter basically is from David. It's like me
Sorry,
and
I was
me
a
and
shit
Rosemary are
dad.
leaving. We were going to change our names. And we
You'll
left some
never see
money
us
for
again.
you to get a plane ticket, and you go and live with your lovely caring mother in Boston. See you later. And then what?
And I
What
love it. It was
about?
like, Ralph, I've also given enough money because you seem like a nice man. I've also left enough money for you to get a plane ticket to Boston. Do you mind making sure my kid gets back okay?
So I don't want to go to Boston. Well, too late. But
Yeah,
what
it's a
about the
bit presumptuous.
hitchhikers? Oh, well, luckily there's a tiny little bit here where
P.S.
yes, we've taken the hitchhikers with us. Let me see that. And he just throws
Was it in the fire?
whazzing it straight into the fire. Oh, it's
Oh,
great.
it's
It's
burned up.
absolutely
Sorry.
great. I
Um.
love it.
And then so Gabriel and Hilary, they never tell. They never explicitly tell Judy and Ralph that they are magic people. It's just that was
Yeah,
something to reveal for David as he was being punched,
that's right.
Mr. Punched. Um, so they basically go, "Oh well, so you'll be on your way now. Oh, of course you can stay here forever if you like." But Ralph is
Yeah.
kind of onto it. He's like, "No, I
No,
actually
no,
need
we're
to
all right.
go
Actually, it's
immediately."
absolutely fine. See you later.
Um,
Don't blame them.
you
And
know
then
who else is all
David.
right though? Teddy.
Oh yeah, Teddy's alive. Teddy's in the car.
Oh,
But before Punch whispers in the voice of David, like says something, and everyone goes, "Oh, right, let's get out of here. See you later." They leave and drive away.
They give Teddy to Gabriel though. He goes, "Yeah."
Oh yeah,
So
here you
Teddy
are.
will actually be
Teddy.
happier living here.
Teddy's devastated. And then when they're driving away, like you hear Judy going, "Were you packing you dad?"
Yeah,
Pretty
I
much.
love that. It says, "Are you married, Ralph?" He goes, "Nah."
No,
Do you
no, no,
like
actually.
sexy women from Boston? It's like, don't know. So well, that's my mom. So do you want to hurry up and meet her?
He's
You
too
can
into
only
his
assume that
childlike
everything's going to be all
wonder.
right.
He's a man child. Too into his childlike wonder. I don't think he'd be interested.
yeah.
Then we do see a scene of all the dolls sat on the shelf. David, Rosemary, Enid, Isabel. Um, and then we see another moment where a car breaks down just outside,
With another horrible
stuck in the mud
family.
outside the mansion, and it's a whole new bunch of victims for Gabriel and Hilary Hartwick. How
Dolls
delightful.
2.
Dolls too. Well, apparently
Morgan.
there was a sequel in development, but it was cancelled. Stuart Gordon was interested in directing a sequel to the film. The story would have followed Judy and Ralph back in Boston. Don't really make sense, that does it? Why would the magic dollies end up in Boston as well?
Maybe those ones that were in this one were still
Oh,
bad and they
what
came
it
to get
says.
revenge.
One day they will receive a box sent from England that contained the toy makers Gabriel and Hilary as dolls.
Oh,
Oh,
I tell you what, corporate synergies out there that I have no doubt listened to this. Fuck off remaking Possession. Make this.
Oh my god,
yeah.
yeah, dolls
Do
too.
this. Give me dolls
Hell
too.
yes. There we go. That's dolls. We play a little bit name game. It's one of those films with one word, which is always fun and always easy to do. So, Andy, if you got any, John, of
Yeah,
course, if
what's
you've
the
got
what's
some
the
as well,
synopsis
feel
of the
free to.
film, Ben? We'll
Feel
work on this one.
The synopsis is. I want to do a synopsis without the spoilers because I feel like that's
Okay.
probably a bit better. A dysfunctional family of three stopped by a mansion during a storm and discovered that elderly owners are magical toy makers of a haunted collection of dolls.
Okay. When a family stop to hide from a rainstorm, they take shelter in the house of an old couple who turn out to be magical bakers with a collection of round bread products.
Rolls.
Rolls.
It's bloody rolls, isn't it? What do you call them? Because I know that in different areas of the country, people call them different things. Cobs, baps, rolls. What kind of person are you, Andy?
Call it a cob or a piece.
Peace.
Yeah, bread and butter, lovely piece.
A lovely piece. What's it so aggressive? That's like what gangsters call a gun or something. You wait, I've got a piece in there for you to see. It's just a buttered
Oh,
roll.
thanks very much, lovely Sanger.
What about you, John? Have you got what would you call them? Do you call them just rolls as well?
I would. Sorry, my headset's just broken. So 1 second.
Oh no. Well, I'll say
We'll keep it bread chat.
I just call them rolls. Stotty cake. What's that? That's like up north, isn't
It's a special type of sandwich.
it? Special type. Okay. So a dysfunctional family arrive at a mansion with some toy makers, with a low collection of haunted dolls, but also they've got a collection of tiny little mammals who are blind running about the place.
Moles.
Moles, indeed.
Moles.
Correct. Have we had a killer moles film?
If we haven't, we'll add it to the films we need to make, Ben.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was
if there is one, I have not seen it, and I would like
Mutant-
to
'cause I know
very
you
much
get
see
like
it.
mutant moles in like Fallout and stuff.
I
I
mean,
reckon it's a bit
tremors are kind of like moles.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Andy.
Okay. So, okay, a dysfunctional family arrive in a storm, take shelter in an old couple's family in an old couple's home, and tell you what, the Euros are on, and they have the telly on really loud, watching the highlights. And there's a death every time something happens.
Goals.
Goals, very good.
Oh, I love it. Dysfunctional family of three stopped by a mansion during a storm. You never guess what the Euros are on as well, but it's 1996, so the England players are slightly different, including a very particular ginger wizard, not actual wizard. We're giving him a nickname.
Oh, thank goodness, one of the three footballers I know. Thierry Henry, no, Scholes.
Skulls, exactly. Mr. Paul Scholes, little Paul Scholes. Any more?
Oh, yeah, Ben, I got another one or two for you. So, once upon a time, a dysfunctional family of three hide in an old couple's house to hide from a storm, only then to find out that they actually have a magic collection of notable French presidents who have airports in Paris named after them.
Charles de Gaulle's.
Charles de Gaulle's. Very good.
Very
Bit of
nice.
education and culture
A
for
little
you
bit
as
of
well,
education
so.
and culture. A dysfunctional family of three stopped by a mansion during a storm, and there's some elderly owners of the mansion who are bakers, and they're making lovely desserts made of choux pastry filled with cream and topped with chocolate.
Profiteroles.
Profiteroles, but they're haunted.
Yeah.
What a way to go.
So, a dysfunctional family of three take shelter in an old couple's house. However, times have moved on a bit. It's the early 2000s. Star Wars: The Phantom Menace is king of the box office, and Gabriel has repurposed all of his old figurines to all be of a famous double-ended lightsaber wielding antagonist.
Moles.
Moles.
Darth Moles.
Darth
Moles.
Mauls.
Okay. A dysfunctional family of three stopped by the mansion during a storm and is owned by a famous German director. But all of his films that he makes are all absolutely panned by critics. But luckily, him and his brother are living there, enjoying their money from the various box offices.
Uwe Bowles.
Just
Uwe
Bowles, yeah, or
Bowles,
Uwe
yeah.
Bowles is fine as well. Has he got a brother? Who knows? Maybe. Any more, Andy? Are you done?
There you go. I don't think I'm going to top Darth Mauls, I'm afraid. I
Darth
did
Mauls
quite
is
well on my
good.
head.
Very special.
So we've got to rate the movie A to F. Pluses and minuses are allowed. Rate good or rate bad. John Crinan, how would you rate Dolls?
Well, I really like this. I've sort of already rated it on Letterboxd because I don't think we spoke about it on air, but when we started, I've already put spoilers out into the world on this one. I did not. This is not a childhood film for me. I saw it recently, as I already said, so there's no nostalgia in it. I just love how sweet this is. The craft on display of the stop motion, the fairy tale sort of love. It's a lovely, warm, fun film to just sit down. And like I said as well, it doesn't waste any time in this sort of modern day world when all we need origin stories and stuff like that, and whole movies and franchises built up before anyone does it. Now they just walk in to a random house and sit down in the kitchen and start eating their soup. We've got to get to the fucking dolls and start to the murdering.
Yeah.
I love it. I really like this film a lot, and I could watch it repeatedly, and I will watch it many times. I rated it on Letterboxd, which is out of stars. I rated it 4 stars, which is a
Oh,
strong rating for me.
that
And
is,
I'm
yeah.
trying to think, how does that compare to your A to F? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Is that a B? Maybe that's a
I
B.
think I think that would be a high B, maybe even an A minus,
Right. Okay.
possibly.
Well,
So I think A is like 9, A plus is like
got
10
you.
out of
Okay.
10.
Well,
Or 5 stars, isn't it? Sorry.
let's say B plus then for me. I really rate it. I think it's a lovely, sweet, charming little film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for all the same reasons, I think I'll go for a B. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, very charming. I was never ever bored, not even for a moment. So that's a good sign, isn't it? Um, yeah, a B for me, Andy.
I am joining John on a B plus.
Hell yeah.
I love this film. It's ridiculous. It's silly. But it's made with so much love and like such craftsmanship for, a film of the time, a 1987 film. It really does still hold up. It has that fairy tale like quality to it. Um, it's just earnestly nice as well. I'm a big Stuart Gordon fan anyway, and like, films from similar eras of filmmaker as well. But yeah, it's just something that's got very charming about it. It doesn't pull back on its punches with the gore and things like that. But then again, John, to reference like your partner Daisy's experience, I think it has got such a great potential to be an entry to horror because it is scary and it is gory, but then it has like a sweetness and an innocence and a morality to it as well. Like a real simple morality, not the stuff we're forcing down recently, which is our like trauma's inevitable, just give up, eh? Like this is, tell you what, keep your curiosity, keep your excitement about things, and maybe you'll get through these horrifying events. The only pang of sadness I'm coming away from is that we never got Dolls 2, and that these aren't the things we're hearing the news about being
Yeah.
revived in this modern era of IP revivals. Where is my Dolls 2 with, with Gabriel and Hilary Dolls turning up? Because that would be
Yeah.
wonderful. Yeah,
That'd be
B plus
fantastic.
from me. A delight. I would 10 out of 10 would watch again. And we've conjured this in our recent episode with Ash as well, Ben. Like, this is a good hangout movie. You got people round.
Yeah, yeah,
You're gonna have a horror movie on when your friends go, stick Dolls on.
stick bloody dolls on anytime anyone enters your front door. Should
Yeah.
I stick dolls in? Ben, I've seen dolls 5 times because of years. No, no, stick it on,
No,
stick
no,
it
no.
on. Let's
That'll
go.
help you with all those people in your office, Ben, that they, your buddy, you watch this about dollies.
What's this about dollies? Grow up, will you? Well,
Yeah.
no, I'm always a child at heart, so
I
have that up
so I'm
here.
safe if Gabriel and Hillary ever
I'm
come and knock
absolutely
in.
safe,
Want to give
100%.
a quick shout out to one of our regular listeners and correspondents. Stephen Christopher was on when we posted we were doing dolls,
Yes.
and shared that it was one of his favorites. So, Stephen, if you're listening, I hope you are. I hope you enjoyed our coverage of the episode. I hope we rated it highly enough for you. I feel like this is an A movie for you, Stephen, but let us know if there's anything we missed, and anyone else listening as well, not
Yeah.
just addressing listeners one at a time. If you've got anything else you'd like to add to Dolls, give us a little post about it and tell us some of your favorite moments.
Oh, yes. Thanks for joining us, John. Where can our listeners keep up to date with you and the updates on Schlock and Load? And of course, anything else you're working on as well?
Yeah, there'll be a few things coming up. Schlock and Load is the thing that's taking up all my time right now. I'm on Instagram. I'm most active on Instagram, and I keep on meaning to get more active on other platforms. But I'm at John Crinan, which is JohnCrinan on everything. And there's a few, if anyone wants to see, there's no trailer or anything for Schlock and Load yet, but if you want to see some stills, you can go onto my website, johncrinan.com/film, and there's some nice stills there, and you might get,
Oh,
there's
nice.
I'll be adding some more. So,
Nice.
Hell yes.
but thank you very much
Brilliant.
for having me,
You're
gentlemen. It's
absolutely
been
welcome.
wonderful to come
Anytime.
back, and what a film to come back on. Great choice.
Absolutely. Brilliant. So thanks everybody for listening. If you enjoyed the show, become a patron over at patreon.com/horror hangout. Thanks to all of our patrons over there. Thanks to Taj Easton for our theme music. Thanks to Acast for hosting the show. Please consider giving us a rating or review. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. You'll find us. Just search Horror Hangout Podcast. Next week, we're talking about Silent Hill Revelation with another special returning guest, Gem Carmella. So looking forward to that one.
Yeah, can't wait. I mean, I will be, unless we record at some magical period of time before I go on my holidays, Ben, it might just be the two of you. So send Jem my best regards when you see her.
Absolutely. And I will just ensure everybody that Andy will be on holiday and he hasn't been dulled
I've
slash
not been
nullified.
turned into a little doll because I do have that sense of
I'd like a little doll version
wonder.
of Andy Conduit Turner on my desk, though. I reckon that'd be
Yeah,
pretty cool. Give
be
me
right.
horror trivia every few minutes.
Yeah, give you a little bit of horror trivia.
And
If
then
you
if
like
I'd have
pull a
had
little
enough of
string.
it, I'll just smash his face in like Punch.
Yeah.
Bang!
But then you get turned into him.
And then I'll get turned into a baby Andy Conduit Turner. Right.
but
Thanks
in
everybody for
pajamas.
listening. Thanks
Everyone,
everyone.
everyone put on their best pajamas tonight, just in case.
Best gym jams. Get nice and cozy. See you later, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.